I'm guessing our second guest goes by Kelvin, since he's J. Kelvin on Twitter.
No, Jacob.
Okay.
Morning, everybody.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hope your week got off to a good start yesterday. Thanks so much for being with us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Magic numbers 39, 44, and 51. To week 0, week 1 of the college football season, and 7 weeks from Thursday, 51 days away. Lions and Chiefs. Although, Mark, for some, the number is 0. 0, because 8 NFL teams have their rookies report to camp today.
Thank you, Howard.
It's only a 40 and 50-year-old reference right there. Once again, starting early for things that Felipe has no blankety-blank idea of which we're talking about.
There's no doubt there, but you're right. We can start paying attention to the most important thing in training camp, and that, of course, is injuries.
Thank you very much, Mark. Make sure we pound that point home.
Because nothing else matters in training camp.
Nope.
There are a handful of jobs that each team has players fighting for. It is mostly I don't even want to say get in shape, because the players are in shape. It's a fine-tuning for the regular season opener.
If you say so. Goodness knows the starters are hardly going to take a snap in the preseason. And they're not allowed to do 2-a-days anymore. But I guess, I don't know, get in about 12 to 20 good practices, maybe. Okay, boys. Break a sweat. You ready? Hamstring loose. You ready to go? Okay. Hope so.
2 players that will not be appearing in training camp this year are Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. They will not be making training camp for their respective clubs this year.
Did you hear the story with Jacobs? He thinks he's doing a deal. He's sitting in the parking lot with Max Crosby, his teammate. They're hanging out. He's got his phone with him because his agent's up there negotiating. He's just waiting for the call. He's going to walk in. He's going to sign. Which I have to admit, I'm a little surprised waiting in the car. I might want to be up there in the room if we're down in the nitty-gritty here. But yeah, I guess that's why, you pay those guys 3%, make them earn it. So all of a sudden, I guess, I don't know if the agent called down or if the agent walked out the front door and Jacobs was like, what's going on? No deal. No deal. How about Saquon's tweet? I loved it. At 3:54 with the deadline being 4 o'clock. It is what it is. Okay.
And you have let it be known that it is you not showing up at training camp and probably not showing up until right before week 1 and daring the Giants to play you against the Cowboys.
Well, they will because they need them. And their record against the Eagles and the Cowboys in the last handful of years is really bad. So they will play him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But Strahan showed up for his final season mark, I believe, the Tuesday before the opener. He hung out in California and worked out, ran on the beach, contemplated retirement. Called him a few days earlier and said, yeah, I'm going to play. I'll see you Tuesday. I'll be ready for practice on Wednesday. He showed up on Tuesday, practiced on Wednesday. They won a Super Bowl. But that's a defensive end. I don't know if it's any different with a running back.
I don't think it's a whole hell of a lot different. I really don't. He knows the plays. He's going to be in shape. This isn't the world from 30 years ago where guys use training camp to get in shape.
It is a very interesting decision, though, by both the Raiders and the Giants. I don't think it was an interesting decision with the Cowboys.
No, actually, I think it was an easy decision for the Cowboys.
And
coming off the injury, it was very simple. We're going to put him on the tag. That's why Pollard signed the tag. There wasn't a lot of there.
Also, he's never been the featured back. Last year he did rush for 1,000 yards, but he was 1A. Zeke started. Now Pollard's going to start. Pollard's going to get the heavier workload. So the Cowboys don't know if he's a featured back. They're betting that he is, but they don't know if he's a featured back. Remember, the guy they tagged last year is not with the team this year, Dalton Schultz. Now, okay, they're going to tag Pollard. Word is, by the way, they're going to sign Zeke back, and he's going to play for a little more than the veteran minimum and accept the backup role in Dallas.
Shows you what the market is for running backs right there.
Did you see the stat that came out late last night? Sometimes you and I see things right before we go to bed, and sometimes we see things at 4:30 in the morning when we're going through the internet and Twitter right before the show. We're like, oh. But, there's 4 to 5 running backs on every team. So, there's 32 kickers in the league, but there's 150 plus running backs in the league. But the average running back makes less than the average kicker. Needless to say, the top 10 or 12 running backs in the league are really kvetching and moaning. They can't believe what's happened to their position. Like, should you even play running back in high school anymore?
No. I told you yesterday, David, you convert all your running backs to defensive backs. They get paid.
And certainly they don't question once you turn the age of 28 as to whether or not you could do it anymore. Where seemingly when you get to 28 as a running back, they're like, well, I don't know. A lot of wear and tear on the tires. He's going to hit the wall like Wednesday. Better get rid of him now.
And with Jacobs and Barkley, it's even more disturbing because one led the league in rushing and the other one led the league in touches.
The other reason that, to me, I find it so interesting is They're both really good and really young. Barkley's 26. I think so is Jacobs. In fact, he might be a year younger. And it's like, wait a minute, they're not 28, 29 yet. I could understand you playing hardball at 28, 29. You really think these guys don't have 2-3 years? So you're going to ruin. I mean, you really are. You are ruining the relationship with one of your, if not your best player. And are you really announcing that, well, there's a good chance you're not even going to be with us next year, but you're certainly not going to be with us beyond 2024? Why would you announce that? I mean, right now the indication are that Jacobs and Saquon would go out and rush for between 2,500 and 3,000 yards over the next 2 years. Really?
But it seems like both of them wanted a third year guaranteed, or at least part of that third year guaranteed. Because by the end, Barkley's money was more than what his 2 franchise tags would have been. The guarantee got it at least to what the 2 franchises would have been.
Yeah, but the Giants then reduced the amount of his contract. And this is also very surprising to me. I mean, the owner came out at the beginning of free agency and said, I want this guy to retire a Giant. I want him in our Ring of Honor. He's everything that's good about being a Giant. He's one of the captains of the team. He might be the most respected player in their locker room. And I don't understand why this second-year GM and second-year coach, after all the goodwill that they earned in that locker room and within the organization, want to light this relationship on fire. And that's what they're doing. Because, Mark, apparently what they did was they were offering him around $13 a year for 3-4 years. But they were only guaranteeing 19.5 of the $39 million. And so they upped their 19.5 to 22, 23, whatever it was, 24 million guaranteed.
I thought it was like 24 million, which was more than the 2 years of the.
Yes, but then they reduced the yearly AAV from 13 million a year to 11.5. And I think Saquon and his people were like, well, we were just looking to raise the guaranteed level to cover the first 2 years. If you keep the AAV at 13 a year, we got a deal. And the Giants were like, well, no, if you want more guaranteed money, we got to give you less overall money. And I got to admit, if I was Saquon, I would have told them to pound sand yesterday. Seriously? How many players on this team are better than me?
It's interesting, David, because I know where you're coming from, and I respect the telling him to go pound sand. The problem is that if he plays franchise, the odds are in the open market he'll never get what the guarantee was of the 3 years.
Well, I don't know, because they were really only guaranteeing the 2. Mark,
I understand that, but in the third year, at the rate value of running backs is going, there's no way he'd have been making the guaranteed money on this contract that he's going to get playing this year on a franchise and trying to play this game down the road.
And Mark, I agree with you. Since the tag on running backs is actually less now than it was 8 years ago. You had to tag a running back for just under 11 million in 2015. Now you're tagging them for 10.1, and it's likely going to go down. But Mark, there comes a point, if you're working for me and you think we've got a good relationship and I really value you, and then all of a sudden we get down to a nitty-gritty negotiation and you start to feel like, wow, Moulton doesn't value me. I thought he did. And even though you sit down with your wife and your wife goes, if we play this out, yeah, you'll go over and work for this person. We'll probably make 2-3 million less. And you might look at her and go, yeah, but I can't look him in the eyes anymore. I've lost respect for him.
David, I'm just trying to get to that point where I work for someone that they value, that I feel that they value our relationship. So I'm confused right now by the whole premise of this discussion.
I value you, Mark.
I
You
know, but I
that.
don't work for you.
No, you do not.
Looking for value, feeling like a couple of running backs. We're nothing more than Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Announcer even got the bat flip in there.
The Angels guy?
Yeah.
Even Michael K gave it a see ya. It wasn't a Yankees see ya, but that's his home run call.
Right.
See ya. He gave it a little see ya. And then as Ohtani was like heading to the dugout, he said, I know if you're a Yankee fan, okay, you didn't like what you just saw, but it is remarkable. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, Mac. Love the bat flip also.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 39, 44, 51, your magic numbers. Then again, 8 NFL teams have rookies reporting to training camp today. One of them, the Dolphins. Hot damn. Starting 5 coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Mark, Rays and Marlins both lose yesterday. Fortunately for the Rays, the Orioles had their 8-game winning streak snapped by the Dodgers. This just in, they're pretty good. And so the Rays still lead the division by a game. All right. Can we just go to the National League first? Marlins have lost 4 in a row. They're a half a game ahead of the Phillies, although they trail them by 1 in the loss column.
Right. Similar situation to the Rays and the Orioles.
Their winning percentage is exactly the same as Arizona. So if you're handicapping the wild card race right now, if you take the Reds and just push them to the side, humor me for a second. You got the top 3 teams in the East and the top 3 teams in the West. There's only room for 5 of the 6. So you got the Marlins and the Phillies, the 2 wild cards in the East, and you got the Giants and the Diamondbacks as your 2 wild cards in the West. Of those 4, wouldn't you favor the Phillies and the Giants because they've been there, done that a little bit more often recently? Giants are only 2 years removed from 107 wins, finished around 500 last year. The Phillies went to the World Series last year. Since June 1st, they have the second best record in baseball. You know what I'm getting at here? Is this going to come down to the Marlins, Diamondbacks, and Reds, who are 2 games behind those 2 teams right now? One of the 3 gets the 6th seed in the National League. Marlins, Diamondbacks, Reds.
David, I would be as bold as to say the Phillies are going to get the 4. I don't have the same love of the Giants that you just gave based on doing something 2 years ago.
Okay.
I lump the Giants in with the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, and the Reds. I think the Phillies will prove to be the class of the quote-unquote wild card teams.
So either 3 teams for 2 spots if you don't think the Reds are going to hold up, and they've lost 5 of 6 here, all to the Brewers, and they're likely not to make a big move at the deadline. They're likely just to call guys up and hope their young guys can, do the best they can. Then again, that's working pretty well for the Orioles. Thank you very much. Or if you count the Reds, then you got 4 teams for 2 spots. But what I'm wondering, Mark, and believe me, I am not thinking about the team that I grew up rooting for. What I'm wondering is, let's say I'm right for a second. We take the Phillies and the Giants and we put them in as the 4 and the 5. And it's Marlins, Diamondbacks, Reds. 3 teams with no pedigree. 3 teams in which, quite frankly, we don't know if they can hold up. We don't even know if they can play 500 ball the rest of the way. The Padres have scored 30 more runs than they've given up. When you look at the Padres, you scratch your head and you go, how in the world is this not a good team? They have like the 3rd best pitching in the National League since May 1st. And you're like, that lineup's not producing runs? Machado, Tatis, Soto? How much longer can this go on?
Well, David, it's been going on
I know,
since
3.5
March.
months. Yeah. Yep.
This
I
is
know.
no longer a trend. This is reality. And there's a chance that the Padres could sell Hader at the deadline. I mean, I've seen his name pop up. I've not seen a lot of other Padres names pop up, but his contract's up at the end of this year, so they could be dealing their closer.
2 weeks today is the trade deadline. And I do think it's a huge 2 weeks for Padres and Mets GMs. No question about it. No question about it. But right now, just what one bad week can do. Diamondbacks got swept coming out of the All-Star break. Marlins are 0-4 coming out of the All-Star break. That's it. An 0-3 and an 0-4. Take a look at who the Diamondbacks have to play, by the way, going forward. They just went Toronto. I think they go Atlanta next. Diamondbacks have a bunch of good teams on their schedule. Marlins are 2 weeks away from the toughest stretch of their schedule. Marlins better make some hay in the next 2 weeks because it gets downright hard beginning July 31st. So I'm just wondering, remember last year, Phillies got in with 87 wins for the 6th seed. And a week ago, we thought it might take 90 to get into the National League. And now a bad week or even a half week by a couple of the wild cards. Reds go 1-5 here against the Brewers. Diamondbacks get swept in Toronto. Marlins start off 0-4 out of the break. And now you wonder, we're going to have another 85, 86 win team as the 6th seed. And quite frankly, who's it going to be?
Look at the American League and you look at Tampa after that great start, they've literally played 500 ball for like the last 60 games after that remarkable beginning to their season. And they're just clinging to that ever so small lead against the Orioles of a game where they are now trailing in the loss column by 1. Their starting pitching's banged up. They're not getting the timely hits they were getting the first half.
Oh, they're definitely not getting that. A lot of pressure on their big 3 bats in their lineup. Nobody else really contributing. Do they need to go get a bat? They did get McClanahan back last night. He pitched well, took a shot out into the 6th, gave up a 2-run homer and a no decision.
So you look at where the Marlins, and it's a great point, David, of the wild card. I'm looking at the top of the East right now and wondering what the Rays have to do to hold on, because this is a 500 ball club right now, and it has been for a couple of months. And to me, they've got to make some sort of they've got to be aggressive here in the next 2 weeks.
Well, if I were the Rays, if I only have room for one addition, let's just say in terms of salary and resources, I can only do one thing. I need a bat. I need another bat.
But if rumors are right, reports are out that the Angels won't deal Ohtani to the Dodgers. Well, that's one less team that you have to worry about if you're the Rays. You've got the wherewithal to make this trade happen. They say they're interested in making it happen. It fills both needs, obviously, a bat and an arm. Could the Rays pull off the unthinkable?
Listen, it's organizational malpractice if the Angels don't trade him. I mean, you can sit down and have a mature conversation. I mean, the Yankees traded Aroldis Chapman to the Cubs. The Cubs won their World Series. The Yankees got 3 top prospects, signed Chapman as soon as the season was over, and brought him back. I mean, $500 million, still $500 million. If you're prepared to offer him $500 million, I mean, that's going to look pretty good in November, whether he's been with your team the whole time or not. Besides, you sit down and you say, hey, believe it or not, if I trade you, if you re-sign, you'll be on a better team than you were before I traded you, because I'm going to get good players for you. I could advocate, Mark. It would be smart for Ohtani to say to the Angels, listen, you probably should trade me. You have a better chance of re-signing me if you go get some parts.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Might have to stack that name. That's not fitting on a back. That's got to go in stacks.
Yes, Ed Ott was a platoon catcher on the, I think, We Are Family Pirates. Don't think the Diamondbacks are going to trade Longoria because he's actually producing at a decent clip for the Diamondbacks. Snell's a different story. If the Padres have a rough next 10 to 14 days, he's a free agent. Cubs are 7 games below 500, DC. They have the same record as the Mets.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us on this Tuesday morning. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 39, 44, 51, your magic numbers. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
And Mark, number 1 is the number 0, the number of running backs who got multi-year contracts yesterday instead of having to play this season on the franchise tag of $10.1 million. There were 3 eligible: Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and Tony Pollard. Pollard signed his franchise tag. Jacobs and Barkley have not. They can't show up for training camp until they sign their franchise tag. So Pollard will be with Cowboys camp, but Jacobs and Barkley likely will stay home for at least another month. Could even be 5 or more weeks. 8 NFL teams have rookies report today: Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, KC, the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Saints, and the Giants. All have rookies report today. Baseball. Rays lost on a wild pitch. Pete Fairbanks threw a fastball to the backstop with a runner on third.
Just a bit outside.
Yep. Game-winning run scored. Rangers rallied to beat Tampa Bay 3-2. Rays made a bunch of moves yesterday. They got Shane McClanahan back. He threw 6 innings, took a shutout into the 6th, gave up an opposite field 2-run homer. 69 pitches, said he felt great afterwards. Rays released starting pitcher Yonny Chirinos, who had been struggling. He had been throwing a lot of meatballs, a lot of balls thigh and waist high over the middle of the plate. Couldn't get the ball down, couldn't find the corners. So the Rays, who could have a roster crunch coming up here with some guys who are going to get back off the injured list, never mind what deals they make in the next 2 weeks. Rays stay in first by a game, however, because the Orioles saw their 8-game winning streak snapped. Chris Taylor with a slam, part of a 5-run sixth. Dodgers 6-4 over the O's, who did call up their top pitching prospect yesterday, who pitched well into the sixth anyway. Yankees blew a 3-1 lead. They gave up a tying 2-run homer to Ohtani in the seventh. 2 outs, runner on first. You're leading 3-1. Do you pitch to Ohtani?
Yes.
They did. He took a 1-2 outside fastball and crushed it.
Problem is you can't pitch around Ohtani because he can seemingly hit balls that are anywhere.
Also, the young kid hitting behind him is not Mike Trout, but he's an outfielder who's got a nearly 1,000 OPS. He's playing pretty well. And then the Angels scored in the 10th to beat the Yankees 4-3. The Yankees are in last place, thank you very much, in the American League East. Just 5 games above 500 at 50-45. Boston moved into fourth with a 7-0 win over the A's. First off, Mark, they threw a combined 1-hitter. That hit was given up in the first inning by the opener, who pitched 2 shutout innings. And then Nick Pivetta came in relief, threw 6 no-hit innings, struck out 13. Best performance of his life.
It was the A's.
True. They lost their 8th straight. I think it's the 4th time this year they've had a losing streak of 8 or more. It's mid-July. They're averaging an 8-game losing streak every month.
We got a lot of losses.
Yikes. Nolan Arenado, 4 RBIs. The GM came out again yesterday, the Cardinals, and said, we're going to trade a lot of players. Apparently, though, he's going to hold on to Goldschmidt and Arenado. Everybody else is fair game, though. They are tied for last with the Pirates. They did beat the Marlins 6-4, however. 4th straight loss for the Fish post-All-Star break. Reds and Giants are tied at 2 in a game that's suspended by rain in the 8th. I don't see that every day. Guardians beat the Pirates 11-0 to snap a 4-game skid. Seattle held off the Twins 7-6. Minnesota's lead cut to a 1.5 in the Central thanks to Cleveland's win. Cubs lost to Washington 7-5. Northsiders are 8.5 back, 7 below 500, despite having a positive run differential. And the Tigers, with 3 in the 8th, beat the Royals 3-2. Detroit's just 5 back in the Central, but they're also 9 games below 500, and their run differential's like -80. But that division's lousy, and the Tigers have their pitching healthy for the first time. And I mean, I could
and
actually.
They got the one young guy back, Green, who's been their best player this year. He just came back, and Torkelson's had the best month of his life.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it doesn't say much.
No, it's like barely above mediocre.
And I shouldn't say best month, best 2.5 weeks since the end of June. He's been playing much better, but they should be sellers.
They should be, but apparently the Tigers are going to hold off and wait to see how these next 2 weeks go, and then decide. NASCAR rain pushed the New Hampshire race to yesterday, and one thing we know. If a race gets postponed by rain to a Monday afternoon, bet on Martin Truex Jr. It should be Martin Middays Truex Jr. He led 254 of the 301 laps in New Hampshire to win a race he always wanted to win. It's the track where he saw his dad win at in 94. It's the track that he most identifies with, even though he grew up in Jersey. He had many top finishes there, but he had not won. The 43-year-old is seriously considering retirement, and he's leading the points race. But he's openly talking about retiring. Joe Gibbs Racing is like, please reconsider, please. Joey Logano was second. Kyle Larson third. Kevin Harvick, who is retiring, finished fourth. Ross Chastain finished 23rd. Tampa's Eric Almirola led 4 laps and was in the lead when he crashed and finished 34th. Next up, Pocono. The Open Championship gets underway Thursday. Rory has already announced he's canceling his media session today. He did that before the U.S. Open as well. Finished second. Rory doesn't want to talk with the media. Doesn't want to be asked about A, LIV, and B, hey, it's been 9 years since you won a major. How you feeling this week? Rory's like, nah, I'm good. I know the questions that are coming. I've answered them all. No need to be asked them again. Mark, the NBC Sports family, they announced their television coverage for the Open Championship. Thursday, Friday, it begins at 1:30 in the morning. Care to guess where?
I know exactly where, David. Give it to me.
Peacock. 1:30 to 4 a.m. on Peacock.
Peacock.
And then 11 uninterrupted hours on USA Network. But finally, you can't finish a day's broadcasting without 1 hour from 3 to 4 on Peacock. Saturday and Sunday, it's just USA and NBC. USA to start things off, 5 to 7 Saturday, 4 to 7 on Sunday. And then, NBC will take you through the last shot of the day, which they expect to be around 3 in the afternoon on Saturday, and the same thing on Sunday, which will go to about 2 in the afternoon. So if you're working and you're not going to be able to watch any of the first and second round coverage, then you don't have to worry about Peacock. I just thought everybody should know, Mark. You know where the
No.
8 Northwestern students have hired a civil rights attorney named Ben Crump, and they're suing the school. The attorney Crump said yesterday for a vast array of incidents of abuse, even though he did say even if the coaches didn't know about it, unquote, which is interesting. Not indicating that Pat Fitzgerald and or anybody else specifically knew. We'll see if that continues. By the way, first Northwestern football player to raise their hand and announce they're transferring. Remember, Fitz was only fired a week ago yesterday. These players have 30 days. They can leave, no questions asked. 4-star linebacker, their number 1 recruit, Nigel Glover, is going to transfer. He chose Northwestern over Iowa and Illinois. So we'll see who can get him. He's from Ohio.
Bielema has got a pretty good defense there. Wouldn't mind adding another piece at Illinois.
NBA news. Do you know they're giving out championship rings for Summer League?
Are they like the same ones, however, that they give the fans at the first game of the team that won it? They're just knockoffs. I mean, they can't give real rings for Summer League, can they?
I mean, are these like the kind that you find in a Cracker Jack box?
Yes,
but
I would hope.
It's just as meaningless as the NBA Cup.
No, it's more meaningless.
Look at you already down on the NBA Cup. I will say, Felipe, I do think we all need to at least give it a chance. Don't we at least have to experience a game first before we absolutely trash this?
Oh, no doubt. But until that happens, I'm trashing it.
The Cavs won the Summer League. They beat Houston by 21 in the final. Joel Embiid gave an interview last Thursday, and it took about 4 days for what he said to make its way into the public realm. But he said, listen, I'm determined to win a title in Philly or anywhere else. Oh, anywhere else, huh?
Anywhere else.
Anywhere else. Interesting. Got it. Embiid's 29. Turns 30, I think, in the spring. March or April, I believe he turns 30. So Philly or anywhere else. He really is an NBA star, isn't he? Always open-ended with those guys. It doesn't even matter. You give him $213 million over 4 years. I can still go anywhere else. I mean, $53 million a year. You think you got my loyalty for $53 million a year?
It's just a contract. You can trade me. All I got to do is walk in and demand it, David, and then you have to trade me. That's the way the league works.
I mean, I make $53 million a year. I only play about 63 games. Come on now.
Whatever one more than the threshold is to win MVP and all league awards. That's all we're shooting for this year.
I think you got to get to, it's either 64 or 65 is now the number that you have to play in to be eligible for all that stuff. You're going to see a lot of NBA veterans playing 65 games in the future. 65 is going to be the new 82. And at 9 minutes before the hour, gentlemen, that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I don't expect Embiid to ask out of Philly at least for another year. I don't. I actually think he wants to make it work there. All right. And he also saw what happened to Ben Simmons when you basically ask your way out of Philly and how you get treated and remembered. And I mean, you know, who wants to bring that on themselves? I think he wants to wait until it's apparent they can't win.
Yeah, I think that was, I want to win here, but if they aren't going to let me win here, then they're going to have to get rid of me.
Right. You know, and this is where, like, Barkley can't criticize Embiid. Not that he has, but that's how Barkley handled Philadelphia. He gave them nearly a decade, and when it was obvious to him that they couldn't win, he was like, come on, man, ship me someplace where I can win. And they did. They sent him to Phoenix. They went to the finals. They went to a few conference finals. You know, okay.
And that seems to be the direction Embiid is looking at as well with those comments. It's amazing it took that long for the comments to surface.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it was a podcast or where it was, but yeah, it took 4 days, especially during a slow time of the year.
No pressure for Nick Nurse.
Well, the pressure's really on the GM, Daryl Morey. First thing he's got to do, is he keeping Harden? Harden apparently wants out. So he's got to handle that first, and then we'll see what's left. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Is Domino's the best chain pizza? I don't do a lot of chain pizza, but Papa John sucks.
I'm with you. I like Domino's a lot more cheese in Domino's.
Little Caesar sucks. It's cheap, but it sucks.
Right. But I will say Little Caesars doesn't try to be anything than what they are. They're like, listen, if you're jonesing for pizza, this is the cheapest stuff you can get. Here
Right,
we are.
we're mostly going to have one ready for you when you walk in, too.
Totally.
Is Jets Pizza allowed?
If Jets is allowed, it might win.
Because
it's definitely a chain.
They're Detroit style, super special.
It's greasy.
Well, I think you have to, like, if we're going to do this, doesn't it have to be like a regular pizza or a one topping thing, not like a.
Well, but that's Jets Pizzas. That's their style. That's their thing.
Gotcha.
Well, also Domino's, I love their thin crust.
I do too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as love. I mean, I think Rosati's is much better, but
well, yeah.
But for chain, I don't even know what Papa.
I love
Murphy's,
it for chain.
Don't even know what Papa Murphy's is. Ambien must be a Denver thing. I've had Marco's. It's all right for chain. That's all I got.
You ever had Blaze?
Never heard of Blaze.
Blaze pizza is pretty good. It's kind of like a Chipotle for pizza where you can just customize the hell out of your pizza.
We haven't talked about Tyreek Hill saying he's going to get 2,000 yards this year and they're going to win a Super Bowl.
When did he say that? Yesterday?
No, over the weekend.
Oh, I missed that.
We didn't talk about it yesterday. RCB, did you throw anything on the wild pitch? Did you have a wild pitch when there was a wild pitch?
Yeah, Mac, I'm telling you, I think Northwestern is going to become the worst Power 5 program in the country. Maybe this interim head coach can keep it together. But I have a feeling he's going to have a new AD and a new president before next year. How does the AD keep his job?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. 39, 44, 51 are your magic numbers. Week 0, week 1 of the college football season, 39 and 44 days away. 51 days, 7 weeks from Thursday, Lions and Chiefs to kick off the 23 NFL season. 8 teams have rookies reporting to training camp today, including the Dolphins, along with the Falcons, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Saints, and Giants. Oh, my. Mark, did you catch what Tyreek Hill had to say?
I did. And I'm one of those people that don't have any problems with players saying we're going to win a Super Bowl. Now, the 2,000 yards part, and if you missed it, Tyreek Hill said he's going to get over 2,000 yards receiving, and the Dolphins are going to win a Super Bowl. Do you want your best player saying the team's not going to win a Super Bowl?
Right. I have no problem.
Never understood that. Oh, he's speaking out of bounds. Oh, yeah, you know what? I think we're going to go 7-10 this year, miss the playoffs, and probably have a middle-of-the-road draft pick. That's what I'm expecting this year to be for our team. Could you imagine if your team's best player said something like that? Saquon Barkley, well, I'm not signing the franchise tag because I really think we were over our skis a year ago, and there's no way we can repeat what we did a year ago. And I don't think we're a playoff team this year.
I don't want to commit long-term to the Giants because we don't have an answer for the Eagles. Hell, we don't have an answer for the Cowboys, never mind the Eagles. So there's no reason for me to be here long-term. I'll never win a ring.
Not only that, imagine if your quote-unquote diva wide receiver was the one saying that. Kind of anti-diva, if you ask me.
Got that right.
The record for receiving yards in a year is held by Calvin Johnson. In 2012, he had 1,964 yards, played in all 16 games.
Well, obviously, they got an extra game these days. That's number one. It's the same with, I am surprised that Eric Dickerson's rushing record has held up since 84. We're coming up on almost 40 years. That 2,105 yards in a season is still the all-time record. Adrian Peterson, I think, got within 8-9 yards of it with the Vikings the one year, and the final game of the season went into overtime also, and they settled for the field goal to win it. They could have gotten him the record, but of course they would have risked losing the ball.
And now that record has never been broken, will it ever be broken? Even though there's a 17th game, we don't run the ball with one featured back in very many places, David.
Well, and if we do, we're not going to pay them anyway.
They better do it before their first contract's up. That's all I know.
So, listen, I hope he has a monster season. They have 2 very talented wide receivers, and if Tua stays healthy, in theory, this offense, but then again, that offensive line, bottom 10 in the league. Therefore, can he really stay healthy? We'll say Burrow took the Bengals to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and that offensive line was considered below league average.
It may have been bottom 25% in the league. You look at the number of times that he was hit that year, David, that you could argue that line was for sure a bottom third line in the league.
Didn't they win that divisional game against the Titans? Didn't he get sacked like 9 times and still won? Speaking of Joe Burrow and Tua, Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, training camps were still a couple days away, Mark. So, we got to go lists. It's all they have until people actually show up at camp. Beginning today, the list can go away. But Jeremy Fowler asked executives, coaches, players, basically anybody in the league, best quarterbacks, rank them. Mahomes, number 1. Burrow, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers comes in at 4. Justin Herbert ahead of Jalen Hurts, who comes in at 6. By the way, think about where Jalen Hurts would have been a year ago.
20 what?
Yeah. I mean, 18 would have been a good ranking for Jalen Hurts a year ago.
I don't think it would have been that high. Not heading into the year, I don't.
Lamar Jackson at 7. Trevor Lawrence at 8. Dak 9th, Matthew Stafford 10th. The honorable mentions mark: Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Tua.
Dak, 9th?
9th.
Wow. Okay.
Well, of the quarterbacks that I mentioned, honorable mention, how many of these would you put ahead of Dak? And you're not a Dak guy. Okay. Deshaun.
Yes.
Off of last year?
No, but off of his whole body of work.
Okay.
I mean,
Kirk Cousins.
Dak led the league in interceptions last year, right?
Did you see his quote yesterday?
Yeah, I'm only going to throw 10.
Well, not even 10.
I'm not even 10.
Right. Not even 10 this year. Okay. Deshaun, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Tua. Would you take Tua over Dak?
Yes.
You would.
I would.
Why?
I think he's better.
But he can't stay healthy.
I understand that.
I'm just challenging you. Don't get me wrong. I think Tua throws a much better ball.
I'll take my chances on Dak staying healthy. First off, if he was playing with that Dallas line, I think he'd stay healthier. The Miami line's not very good.
Okay.
Based on last year, who would you take, Jared Goff or Dak Prescott?
Well, I don't know if I'm willing to, although I held last year against Deshaun, but also because he didn't play the year before. I mean, to me, Deshaun's one of the biggest wild cards in the league because the Deshaun Watson, at the moment he said, I'm not playing for the Houston Texans anymore, was a top 6 quarterback in the league. No questions asked. Might have been top 4 when he said, I'm done playing for this franchise. And now he's 2-3 years removed from that. But he's still in his 20s. Did he just need, a year of rust? And now he's going to come back this year? Because, by the way, if Deshaun Watson's like the 8th best quarterback in the league, Cleveland's pretty damn good.
They're in the playoffs. They're contending for the division. I'm not saying they're winning it, but if he's the 8th best quarterback, David, with the running game that they have, then I'm telling you right now, Cleveland's winning 10, 11 games, and they're a playoff team.
Now, I will say there is an element to being the quarterback in Dallas, which is a different animal than being the quarterback most everywhere else. Dallas is a zoo. I mean, to be the guy, to be the leader of the Cowboys, it might be the toughest, most pressurized spot in the league. It's
more than what Aaron Rodgers has this year with the Jets.
Well,
I'm trying to compare levels of quarterback. I'm just basing it on what you said. Playing in New York for the Jets, playing in Dallas for the Cowboys. Which is harder for the quarterback?
Well, since Rodgers has a resume, I would say it's tougher on Dak. Dak hasn't won.
Okay.
Well, you asked me. That's my answer. You obviously don't like it.
No. I asked which city, and you answered.
Please, being the Jets quarterback is nothing. It's big this year because of who he is And, they're like, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl. But, I mean, being the Jets quarterback is nothing. It's not even, I think, top 10 in the league in terms of toughest places to play quarterback. I mean, please, when you're number 2 in your own city, how hard of a gig is it? Sorry. Be the Giants quarterback. Get back to me. All right, that's a much tougher gig than being the Jets quarterback, in my opinion.
All right, that's what I'm asking.
But to me, being the quarterback of the Cowboys is like being Jeter with the Yankees every day. Every day. Every single time they open the doors, you got to be the leader of the franchise. Every time. Everything you say. 300 days a year. And I just think it's a different animal.
I think Dak handles that part of being extremely well. I think he is the consummate professional. I have nothing bad to say about Dak the guy. I just don't think Dak the quarterback's that good.
And that's fair. But when we look at some of these other quarterbacks, do we think they could handle the leadership responsibility that comes with being the guy in Dallas? Because that's a heavy weight. That vest is heavier, I think, than any other vest in the league. Don't know if that means anything or not, but.
And I think that vest gets heavier and heavier when you're bordering on mediocrity.
When you've got 2 playoff wins, it adds about 10 pounds a year. It does.
You can lighten that vest if you were better. The answers are funnier when your resume is better. That's all.
But I don't think Jared Goff could handle Dallas. I don't think Kirk Cousins could handle Dallas. I don't.
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised. I think their play would eliminate some of the pressure. And I just think Dak's a nice quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback and never will be.
And Stafford's making over 40. He's 10th. Dak's making 40. He's 9th. Hell, Daniel Jones got 2 votes. He's not even in the top 15. He's making 40. So they'll pay Daniel Jones, but they won't pay Barkley.
It is interesting what has happened to that position. It has been completely devalued in the National Football League. Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Jim, Troy has told me some of what's involved in being the quarterback of the Cowboys. That maybe, most of us wouldn't realize. The last time we had Troy on, he talked a little bit about it. He talked about it was actually the thing about Brady that he respected more than anything else was his leadership. And Troy talked about most people, he goes, even a lot of players don't fully understand what it takes to be the leader of a franchise. And Troy said, Tom might have been the best leader that he's ever known about. And he had examples. And he talked about it at length last time we had him on. It's like little things. We've talked about it, the Messiers, the Tays, the Isermans, like when the kid gets called up from the AHL and he shows up at his locker room and there's a suit or two suits waiting for him. That's Iserman. That's Messier doing that. That's them talking to the equipment manager and saying, okay, who is this kid, and finding out his measurements and what have you. And okay. And getting two suits for him so that when he shows up and then the first night he's in town, they, taking him out, making him feel like one of the guys. Imagine, you're Stevie Y, and all of a sudden you got to say to your wife, listen, I gotta go out tonight. Well, what do you mean? We got a new guy called up. I got to welcome him to the team.
Now, of course, they just have a video game party and do it from their own homes and play a little shell or something like that.
And just things like that. Brian McReynolds was the captain of the Binghamton Rangers, and they were the AHL affiliate of the Rangers. And he got called up for 2 weeks to be a fourth line centerman. And he said, God, Messier treated me like, I was a brother.
Boxing's coming to TNT.
Really?
Well, this isn't the TNT logo, though. It says boxing on TNT Sports. I don't know if this is foreign. Is there a TNT that's overseas? Doesn't even look like the same logo.
Is it possible they changed your logo
to pink?
Oh, probably not.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pete Nakos from On3 College Sports. He's their business reporter. Last week was Big 12 Media Days. This week, SEC Media Days. Next week, Big 10 Media Days. Pete will join us top of the hour. Jacob Calvin Meyer covers the Orioles. The red hot, even though they lost last night. Orioles, who've won 8 of 9. Game back of the Rays. 4-game series at the Trop begins Thursday. Orioles Rays. How about that? So we'll start previewing that series and take a look at these teams, heading down the stretch. Find out if the Orioles are going to make any moves at all, or if they're just going to keep calling up all their prospects and see how they finish. Hey, along those lines, Mark, Fangraphs yesterday, before the games were played in baseball, said these are your playoff chances. They listed the Braves at 100% chance that they'll be in the playoffs. The Rays at 98%. The Dodgers at 93%. Baltimore at 83%. Toronto 78%. Texas 76%. Milwaukee and Minnesota both at 74%. Interesting. With what, a 1.5 and 2-game lead in their divisions?
Right.
The Giants at 73%, which is interesting because Marlins, Giants, Diamondbacks, Phillies all within like a game and a half of each other there for playoff spots. There's not enough spots for teams. The Phillies at 68%, the Astros at 68%. Notice I haven't gotten to the Marlins yet.
No, you have not. I've been waiting for them.
According to Fangraphs, the Marlins have a 62% chance to make the playoffs, which is 9 percentage points better than the Diamondbacks at 53%. So according to Fangraphs, the Marlins will be the 6th seed.
All right.
We go by percentages. Giants are the 4, the Phillies the 5, the Marlins the 6. Braves, Brewers, and Dodgers win the divisions in the NL. By the way, Yankees with only a 42% chance to make the playoffs. This was before yesterday. At the time this info came out, they were a game out of the playoffs. Red Sox only 30%. Here's what's interesting. They give the Padres a better chance of making the playoffs than the Reds. And the Angels are not going to trade Ohtani, yet they're given a 7% chance to make the playoffs.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Ohtani trade because Sports Betting AG has put odds out on Ohtani's next team, and I want to make a bet. Because the odds-on favorite, according to this, the Yankees are 3-1. The Dodgers are 6-1. The Mets are 6. I'm sorry, the Yankees are 3-1. Dodgers are 4-1. The Mets are 6-1. Mariners and Giants are 7-1. Padres and Braves are 9-1. The Marlins are 25-1. And the Rays, according to Sports Betting AG, the Rays are 55-1 to land Ohtani.
Now, I have a question. Is the question phrased in such a way where it says where he's going to be traded to, or does it simply say what his next team will be?
Next team.
So in theory, he could not be traded. And if we put money on the Mariners, because you and I think he's going to sign in Seattle, what are the odds we're getting with Seattle again?
They're not great. They're 7-1.
Okay.
That's the fourth betting favorite along with the Giants.
Let me get this straight. If the Braves traded for Ohtani,
or signed him in the offseason, he doesn't get traded and they sign him.
well, with their ownership, I don't think they would spend that kind of money.
I know.
But if you think about it, they got damn near every starter signed outside of left field. They do have I don't know about a hole. They got Eddie Rosario, and they don't want to put Ozuna in the field. I mean, they could put Ohtani in left.
But, David, they have his next contract amount and an over-under figure on it.
Here we
and
go.
I think you're going to get excited about this, David, because it blows your offer out of the water.
What? Mine's 9 for $550.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's right at it. I'm sorry. I thought you were 500. 549.5. They're literally right at your number.
Wow.
549.5 is the over-under.
No, actually, you're right. My offer was 500.
That's
it
what
was
I thought.
9 for 500. Right. It was $55.5 million a year.
Correct.
Well, they got him then being offered 10 years.
That's it.
That's what they're factoring in. Golly. I'm going to go under. Close. I think he's going to take less money to go to Seattle.
Boy, is that going to hawk off the Yankees and their fan base when they offer the most money and he turns them down.
Not as much as it's going to honk off the Angels. They'll stay in the division, for goodness sakes.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. I think we previewed this properly, but I have no idea where Felipe's going for today's play of the day. What do you got, Felipe?
You guys did an excellent job previewing this Clutch Vodka play of the day. The Yankees, they had another tough loss. I mean, this is back-to-back clutch plays where the Yankees are on the losing side of it. Shohei was clutch late with a game-tying home run.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Ohtani. Here's the pitch. He swings and drives the ball deep out into left center field. It's out by the wall, and that one is out of here. They pitch to Ohtani, and he burns them. And tonight on this Monday night, it is showtime.
Showtime, and then Michael Stefanik with the winner.
Stefanik 3 hits 10 times up with the Angels this year. Lines a ball into left field, and this is going to win the ball game. By the time Kiner Falefa gets it, no chance for a throw to the plate. And how about Michael Stefanik? That's the biggest hit in his major league career right there. And the Angels walk it off against the Yankees tonight in the bottom of the 10th and win this ball game 4-3. You can put a halo over this one.
I butchered his name there. Stefanik. Michael Stefanik with the winner. Angels win 4-3 in 10.
You can put a halo over this one, huh?
I mean, that's all they got, really.
The Nats announcer, okay, every time the Nats win, he says you curly W because that's their logo. It's a curly W. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I mean, you could be John Sterling. Yankees win. It's a play-by-play voice of the Yankees, by the way. Unbelievable.
He was doing none of that last night.
That's your Clutch Vodka play of the day. It's Clutch with a K.
DC with our possible Twitch comment of the year. Does Ohtani look at the Powerball tickets and go, not worth my time?
Yes. He plays the Powerball every night, and you know what he's doing? He's winning.
Because he looks at it, he goes, well, it's not guaranteed and taxes and, I'll just keep pitching and hitting.
Absolutely remarkable. Ohtani, our play of the day. More on the other side right here. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Arch, he's going to get the richest contract in baseball history. The union is not going to be able to stop him. I mean, Trout's extension on top of what his existing contract was, I think, made his contract like around $432, something like that. And so the union will be thrilled with Ohtani's contract. Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, Maddox took less money to go to the Braves than the Yankees were offering. Now, don't get me wrong. Like Scherzer did not want to go to the Mets. He wanted to stay on the West Coast. But the Mets offered so much more than anybody else was offering, and they offered a new highest AAV. And so Scherzer, a big union guy, felt a lot of pressure to take the deal. Which is why, by the way, there's a chance that Scherzer gets traded, say, to the Dodgers in 2 weeks. Because he's only got an option year left on his contract. And he enjoyed pitching for him before, and that's where he wanted to go the first time.
Last season, Shohei played 157 games. He had 34 home runs. He's played 93 games thus far, and he has 35 home runs.
Almost sent you a TikTok yesterday of Jeff Payson looking at baseballreference.com without the player's name, just the history of the player, and he's getting one after another.
Passon, by the way, but yeah,
Passon,
he is a goober.
Oh my God. He's like, all right, played for Cleveland, then 1 year in Atlanta, 4. Oh, it's David Moulton. It
Right.
was, oh my God. It was something.
Did you hear what happened to him?
Yeah.
A tree fell on him and broke his back.
Right.
It's crazy.
Telling you, Arch, the union's going to be thrilled. He's going to make more per year than any player's ever made before, and he's going to have the richest contract in the history of probably North American sports. You got anything here?
Not for a long segment. I do think it's
Okay.
I think the Hunter Dickinson thing's really funny that he made fun of my home state. Said it's fake Midwest.
How about if we do that at 8:21?
That works.
Lee Sterling, by the way, says he needs to move his segment.
Okay.
That apparently there's a station that he's always done, and they want him at 7:25. Do we want to move him to 7?
That's fine. Do our picks at 21 or do them right after Lee?
Well, we could do two things. We could do our little Super 7 type thing.
Right.
We could do our betting stuff right after Lee at 21. And then we could do our actual picking of the games if we want at 38. Because then we have Pat from 8 to 8:30. And then last year we did Chris Landry at 8:38. Or we could do something different.
Well, I like Chris. I think that's a really good football segment. I mean, getting into the college games the way we do with him, I think is great.
Yep.
If he's game.
He's game. Bud's game. Chris's game. Bud sent a really nice tweet out about us.
I saw that.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pete Nakos, okay, will join us from On 3 at the top of the hour. We'll talk a little college football, and he's a business reporter, NIL. Remember we told you late last week about that collective group, 7 schools all under one umbrella? Greg Sankey, by the way, doubling down, if not tripling down yesterday, saying Congress is the only group that can solve NIL. So we'll talk to Pete from On 3 about that coming up at the top of the hour. So in light of the running back situation, where now the league has just decided we're not going to pay these guys. I mean, let's face it, it's arbitrary. I mean, wasn't that long ago that they were paying running backs. I mean, 5 years ago, they were paying running backs. Hell, Christian McCaffrey got 16+ million a year. What was it, 3 years ago? I mean, this is a 2020s phenomenon. Sometime around the pandemic, the league said, why are we paying running backs? Mark, is there a union that's done a worse job than the NFL Players Association? Honestly.
Short answer is no.
I mean, that we can think of off the top of our heads.
I mean, if you look at the other sports and you look at obviously the NBA and the way salaries are going, and it's not, the center position, the guy in the block's been eliminated a little bit more by the style of the game. But, hockey, their union's done nothing to really let the players down.
The pandemic and, revenue's a lot tighter in hockey in the pandemic, the way it was situated. You could argue the NHLPA. Some diehard hockey people think that the NHLPA has not served the players well at all. Mark, I don't think that there's a pro athletes union that has served their constituency worse than the NFL Players Association. I'm not a huge union guy. I was forced to. Actually, come to think of it, I didn't join. I worked for an NBC affiliate in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, And because I was never made full-time, all right, I never joined the union. I was the only person in the building who wasn't in the union. And believe me, I took grief for it too.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Surprised they didn't take you out back and club you.
Well, actually, there was a chief photographer who, one night at the bar did take me out back and, we threw punches. So, yeah.
Over the union?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I just explained to him, I go, there's literally not a single benefit for me to join the union. You just want me to join because. I go, if there was literally one thing I would get by joining, I would join. Why wouldn't I? But anyway, what I'm hinting at here is that I really think, and it's not going to be for a while. I mean, they got 8, 9 years left on the collective bargaining agreement here. But I mean, Mark, come on. First off, the franchise tag alone, if you're part of the union, don't you want to get rid of the tag? And at the very least, don't you want to make it so that they can only tag you once?
There's no doubt. And obviously, for a rookie, he's got to get through his 4th year before he can even start negotiating a new deal. The rookie deal is longer than the average NFL career.
Correct. And it's not just the running back position. Then we also get back to what? These contracts are not guaranteed. The NBA contract is guaranteed. Now, not all of them, okay, but the overwhelming majority of contracts are fully guaranteed. The overwhelming number of baseball contracts, there are unbelievably few baseball contracts that are not fully guaranteed. And in hockey, the contracts are largely guaranteed. You can buy a guy out. But the player basically gets their money.
Right, gets paid.
It may be over a long period of time, but the player can be bought out and they get their money. And that's not the case in far and away the most popular, hell, not just sport, most popular damn thing on television. I mean, I got the top 50 TV shows in the last 8 months in front of me here. I mean, the NFL's all over it.
And David, while I can't argue with the thing you're saying in regards to the NFLPA, I could argue that the non-guaranteed contracts may make the fans like the sport above all others. We love the fact that a guy can get cut. We always have.
Why?
Well, that's a bigger question, and that's a much more difficult question to figure out. And you and I have talked about this for years. While none of us are the man, the overwhelming majority of us listening right now, talking, speaking, are not the man. We all work for someone else. Yet we side with the man when it comes to it being our team. And we always have.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
None.
But basically, I think the players have to strike. Now, they can't for 8 years. But I'm telling you, I think the NFL Players Association better start planning as to how it is. They're going to have to shut the game down. They really are. They're going to have to force the NFL to either have no games, which we did back in 1982. We didn't have football for nearly 2 full months. And we missed 1 week in 87. They shut it down for a week. They came back with quote-unquote scab replacement players. All right. I think they played 15 games that year instead of 16 in 87. But we have not missed a game since 87. I mean, at what point, if you're the players, I watched all these running backs and really quarterbacks and what have you take to Twitter yesterday complaining about the system. You guys voted this. I mean, we all, listen, Miller and Moulton are a bunch of yahoos. We've been saying for years that what you guys are voting for is idiotic. What are you doing? What are you doing?
You make it really tough on your rookies and new people to make a living, yet you don't guarantee any of the salaries for those that have been playing their entire careers. Oh, yeah, and if a team wants, they can hold your rights for 2 years, and you have nothing you can do about it.
And then you've agreed to the finances in a certain way where the, quote, middle-class guy making $5 to $7 million a year, now we got to price him out and sign a bunch of young guys for $700,000. So besides quarterbacks and now defensive tackles and
Edge
offensive
rushers.
tackles, edge rushers. Oh, okay. So
The
now we got
occasional corner.
so half the league can't get paid.
I mean, think about it. It's not just running backs. The interior linebacker, the inside linebacker position's been squeezed. The safety position's getting squeezed. The tight end is
Completely.
getting squeezed.
Although I will say what the Jags,
Ingram?
what he got, nearly 14 a year. That was well done by him. Good job. Because I don't even know if he's the top 5 tight end. So that well done.
But that's an outlier contract for that position.
I know the rest of the league called the Jags up and said, "What the heck are you doing?"
Have you not seen what we've been tagging guys for and then cutting them the next year?
So, to bring this up may be idiotic by me because literally there's not a chance for them. I mean, I guess you could with a contract strike, but that would go over like a lead balloon. But if I'm involved in the NFLPA or whatever, and the other thing that we've talked about, do they take care of their former players? I mean, come on. It's criminal what the NFL has done to their old timers. I mean, at some point, when is this association going to stand up and represent some faction of who they're supposed to represent? I don't get it. And I've never been in a union in my life. And I don't get it. Shortest careers, non-guaranteed contracts. Shouldn't it be completely the opposite? Because we have the shortest career, every dime is guaranteed?
And obviously, it's not like the league's short on money.
Right.
The Commanders are going to sell for what?
6
on Thursday?
billion. Right. The league makes over $20 billion in revenue annually. It will be $25 billion and then some by the time this collective bargaining agreement is done. And don't tell me it's split 50-50. There's all sorts of revenue streams that aren't even in the 50-50 split.
And they really since 87, David, have never come, they've threatened it. But they've told their players to be ready for one. But they've inevitably been able to get deals done. And I don't know what it is that if they don't want to stand for guaranteed contracts, what it is they're standing for.
I don't either. But by the time this CBA is done, it will have been 45 years since the last time we missed games, because this is going to go into the 2030s before this CBA is done. But I'm just wondering, at what point, like I was reading the Twitter late yesterday afternoon into the early evening, and the players really upset, not just running backs, but a lot of players really upset with the system. And my first thought was, you guys voted for this. And now maybe, Mark, over a certain period of time, the players and the future players in theory are going to know all about this system when they come into the league in 8 years, 10 years. Well, aren't they going to want to change this? I mean, would you strike over guaranteed contracts alone? Would you strike over that issue alone?
David, I'm not being flippant, and I'm not answering your question. How good am I and what position am I playing? Because when you're dealing with the rank and file guys,
I know
they don't have the time to wait it out when they're only playing 4 years. They don't have time to worry about the player 10 years from now when they're trying to make their $10 million over 4 years because they know their career could be over in an instant.
And I would argue that no, you're striking for you so that your money's guaranteed. They cannot pay you, you know. You come back to work tomorrow, they cannot pay you the next day. You get nothing. That contract's crap. That's what I'm waiting for. At what point do they at least say, listen, if we don't change a damn thing, the contract's got to be guaranteed.
And they have to start 2 years before they start negotiating to get these players ready and willing to do this. This is not a start the negotiations and start telling players we might strike. They have to be prepared for it 2 years ahead of time. And I'm not joking when I say that. This would be a well-formulated plan by the NFLPA if they ever wanted to pull something like this off.
I mean, when does the NFL player look at the NBA player and go, for goodness, and I know it's 53 versus 15. We all know that. But when do they go, Duncan Robinson's making almost $20 million a year. He's the third guy off the bench. What the heck? And it's fully guaranteed? And I'm Dalvin Cook, and I'm begging for 7. And I'm the sixth best running back in the league.
Begging.
And I'm 27 years old. And I'm begging for $7 million. Oh, by the way, and it's not guaranteed. I'm just at what point? And think about how much money the NBA player's making in the 50+ millions now. Do you know what the NBA player is going to be making when this NFLPA contract is done? They're going to be making, the elite players are going to be making over $60 million a year. I mean, at what point does the NFL player look around and go, we are the dumbest people in pro sports? What are we doing?
Miller and Moulton. Text lines open at 21,000. Love to get your take on this. 2-1-0-0-0. The 8 o'clock hour coming up. Lots to talk about. Pete Nakos from College Sports Business Reporter. We'll talk a little NIL. And we'll talk a little Orioles as well with Jacob Meyer. Covers the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun. That all coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. As I mentioned, the text line is open at 21,000. If you want to chime into the show or join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, where you can react in real time like so many of our listeners do. Thanks so much for listening. We'll come back and talk the business of college sports next on Miller and Moulton. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Wow. You got a retweet from Brando.
Huh.
Literally.
That's interesting.
He just tweeted out, so talking shop and taking inventory. Folks are fortunate getting to listen to this guy.
Oh. He must be hitting the little white ball really well. He must be in great spirits these days. So we're up to $1 billion, right? No Powerball?
Yep.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. I played my late father-in-law's numbers. He was a minister. We haven't won squat. 20-something years, nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. Figured we'd have an inside connection, right? We could win something, right? I don't know, $4,000, something. How about every number but one win $1 million, right? No, nothing.
Maybe I'll buy a ticket tonight.
Now it's gotten to the point where
No, it's not that. It's that I don't have any money, David. I don't have $20 extra that I'm wasting on Powerball tickets right now. I just got back from vacation. My Visa bill's through the damn roof.
Oh, bet it is. $2 tickets. $2.
Yeah, I know. You got to buy a couple of them. You can't just buy one.
I totally agree with you. Come on, it's
at least $10.
And the Mega Millions is 600 plus million itself. So, you can put the two together. You're talking about 1.7 billion here. I've been doing every time I stop at a convenience store, Mark, I've been doing $8. 2 quick picks of each. Boom, boom. Obviously, it's been very successful. Nakos. Pete Nakos.
Too bad we don't have a long segment to kill. Timmy B'd be ready right now.
He must have just woke up at 7 a.m. in Shreveport.
He's tweeting like a madman this morning.
Uh-oh. He must have given himself like a week-long Twitter ban, which he does on a given.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third hour of Miller and Moulton along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're halfway home in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pete Nakos, kind enough to join us for the first time. He's a sports business reporter, college sports for On3 Sports. Follow Pete on Twitter at Pete_Nakos, Nakos 96. Pete_Nakos 96. Pete, it's David and Mark. Thanks for getting up and doing this. How are you?
I'm great, guys. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Well, when we booked the interview, we were wanting to talk to you about that group collective that formed late last week where they were taking like 7 collectives and they were trying to do it on the best interest of the college athletes. Okay. But there's something going on in the last hour, which you've already tweeted about, the Drake group pushing once again for a college athletes' Bill of Rights in the wake of the Northwestern scandal. They've got 2 senators that are introducing this legislation. Does this have a chance in heck?
I would have to tell you that no, I don't think it has a chance in heck. I think that if you followed it, the College Bill of Rights have been floated before, and I think what this really gets back to is that it's extremely unlikely that a federal NIL bill is ever going to pass because some legislators are going to want some serious concessions for health and safety issues in that bill. And I think this is just more evidence of that. So, no, I mean, obviously the Drake group is passionate about the college athlete Bill of Rights. All that said, I don't really see this picking up serious momentum.
This group of 7 schools that formed this NIL collective, is this something that you think other schools will join? And do you think this is the right avenue that colleges should be taking right now?
Yeah. Worked the news last week on that. Just from sources and people I've talked to, the expansion is coming. It's going to grow quickly. I think there's a lot of interest. And then I think that there is definitely a need for it right now. You look at the college athletics landscape, right? You have the NCAA, which is kind of mindlessly fluttering along and the want to only get things done in Congress. And then, as we saw yesterday at SEC Media Days, conference commissioners continue to just stick with that NCAA line of not really innovative NIL thoughts. So, I think this collective association could really push forward the bill in terms of how we think about NIL and even the potential of revenue sharing down the road.
Pete, why do you think it is? I mean, let's face it, Greg Sankey is the number 1 leader in all of college athletics right now. And it surprised me a little bit when he came out yesterday and said, well, if Congress doesn't do it, we're never going to have basically any rules that we all have to conform to surrounding NIL. 1, did that surprise you? And 2, for a leader, why is he being so lazy, hands-off, non-leader about this issue, which we believe is the number 1 issue surrounding college sports over the next decade?
For starters, no, it didn't surprise me. It was actually a little maddening to see for the second consecutive year, see Greg Sankey, who is the most powerful man in college athletics, stick with the same line almost. And then kind of bouncing off of that, there's such a need for a plan B right now for college athletics, right? Like everybody keeps on talking about like NIL and getting it done on Capitol Hill, but the reality is that that's not going to happen, and there needs to be a new thought process and a new plan developed, and someone needs to do it, and it is really I shouldn't say upsetting, but it was disappointing to see that Greg Sankey isn't going to be the one to do it.
What should the plan be, Pete? What if Sankey called you right now and said, "I need a plan B," what would it be?
I think the plan would be to exhaust NCAA NIL enforcement efforts and see how far that comes. And then if that really does not get the job done, then I think that's mounting evidence for Congress to get something done. But the other thing I'd really like to see is for these conference commissioners and athletic directors to really start to sit down and figure out what revenue sharing looks like. With the college football playoff expansion coming in, the SEC and Big Ten expected to see those television dollars rise in the next year. There's just going to be so much money in college football where it's going to be, it's only a matter of time until the athletes want a piece of the pie. And it's pretty obvious that the NCAA kind of screwed up this NIL era, right? They had so long to try to get it right, and then they just rushed it. And this is kind of where we're at. It would be encouraging to see the NCAA and administrators kind of take the time now to try to figure out what revenue sharing should look like.
Pete, the people that you talk to, and we're talking to Pete Nakos, who covers college sports business for On3 Sports. You can follow Pete on Twitter, Pete_Nakos, Nakos 96, Pete_Nakos 96. Do the people in college athletics, in the universities, do they want rules with NIL? Because let's face it, some of them are a lot better at it and are raising a lot more money than others. And so do they want conformity? Do they want guidelines? Or do the powers that be go, no, man, there's a reason we've gotten all the good players for the last 50 years. We've always had more to offer. We're always going to have more to offer.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that you can really see the lines taken right. The parties take. I mean, there's a reason why Nick Saban is constantly pleading for NIL legislation, and the reason is because it's not really a secret anymore, but Alabama is not the most cash-rich state, and it's not nobody's fault, but at the same time, the pockets just are not as deep in Tuscaloosa as some other places across the SEC. So yeah, there's definitely also some schools and states that are thriving right now because of NIL. So yeah, it's not exactly like a huge swath of the nation who wants this done. But let me make it clear: a lot of the people who have a lot of power want it done because they're starting to lose the power that they've always had.
Based on the Supreme Court decision that allowed players to get paid, if Congress puts something in, will it stand up in your estimation, or how will it stand up?
Could you repeat that? I lost you for a second.
When, the Supreme Court basically said the athlete can make what they want to make. And that's where this whole thing started. If Congress comes in and puts an NIL law in, will it stand up, or will this, whatever law is, end up back in the courts?
No, it will stand up. That Alston decision was really at the end. NCAA couldn't hold back athletes from profiting, right? And there's a variety of things that led up to the NIL decision. It just wasn't that Supreme Court one. So no, if Congress were to ever get a law done, it will stand up, and obviously maybe somebody, I guess, could challenge it. But I don't foresee that happening. The one other thing to kind of keep our eyes on, as it obviously seems like Congress, but right, this isn't an agenda for them. There's the Johnson versus NCAA case, which basically argues that athletes should be classified as employees according to, I believe, federal labor standards. And then there's another one out in California where the National Labor Relations Board has sued the USC, I believe, the Pac-12 and NCAA, arguing that athletes should be employees. And both of those, right, I mean, these are really long processes. And by no means are we going to have a decision tomorrow, but these are kind of like the fight that is coming to the NCAA, and the employee conversation is not going anywhere.
Pete, is there a school that in the last year, because you updated NIL collective rankings, if you will? Is there a school that has figured it out that a year or 18 months ago was lost?
That's a good question. So, like, Tennessee and Oregon have just thrived for the entire 24 months. The one school that has really come in and really impressed has been Texas. It's probably the best case study too of how having too many collectives is just bad for a school, right? So if they had like upwards of 5 NIL collectives, and it was really confusing for the fan base. And in the last, I'd say about 9 to 12 months now, they have formed one collective called the Texas One Fund, and they are just thriving when it comes to recruiting and the transfer portal and raising dollars and getting backing from Steve Sarkisian and Rodney Terry, and things are really clicking in Austin right now for the Longhorns when it comes to NIL.
Pete, thanks for your time and insight. We appreciate you doing it. Thanks for coming on the show, and hopefully we can do this again.
You bet. I enjoy it, guys. Have a great day. Pete
Nakos, On3 Sports. Follow him on Twitter, Pete_Nakos, Nakos 96, Pete_Nakos 96. 2 weeks ago, coming up on 3 weeks now, he and On3 Sports released, Mark, their top 20 collectives through 2 years. Tennessee 1, A&M 2, Oregon, Texas, and Texas a year away from the SEC. So 3 of your top 4 are SEC. Miami 5, Florida State 6. USC, Arkansas, Ole Miss. This one surprised me. West Virginia at 10. Love the name of it, though. It's called the Country Roads Trust.
I like it.
So what do you got there? You got 5 of the top 9, I think, that are SEC in a year anyway, when Texas is a member of the conference. But you got the Canes and Florida State. So far, through 2 years of playing the NIL game, Pete and On3 Sports have them ranked 2 of the top 6. And to me, what's more surprising is Florida State, because what has Florida State, Mark, always yelled in comparison to Florida and Miami, never mind elsewhere? We don't have the money. We can't get into the bidding war, stadiums, and we can't do it. The other places can raise more money than us. Well, so far, not in NIL.
Big numbers bodes well for most of the teams in state. I do wonder, and you didn't mention them, but, a UCF, how long it's going to take them to get their collective in order with the Big 12 to be in comparison with some of the rest of the schools. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What's the latest with Zion? I see Zion facing serious allegations. Is there more Zion news that I've missed, Felipe?
Is it from the hooker?
I don't know. I just curious if Felipe had heard anything. I'm not, paying attention to Zion as much as I probably should.
I have not heard anything.
God damn.
What now?
No, it's just, I will say it's fascinating because the healthcare and any massages or anything that I get in Jacksonville is the exact same places and stuff that I got in Fort Myers. I never got texts and emails and phone calls in Fort Myers reminding me of appointments. Hey, you got to fill out this form, okay, before we can see you. None of that. In Jacksonville, I am inundated with it.
Well, I will say there were ones I never got that I started getting yesterday. I went to the dermatologist yesterday. I never had to fill out that stuff before, but so they're just getting more of them are getting into the portals, David. That's all there is to it. I like the text email reminder personally.
I like one, not three.
That makes me feel like I'm wanted. I don't get that many texts anymore, David.
They found something on my lung. I got to come back in 3 months.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not that big. They don't think it's anything, but they just want to see if it grows. So it's only like 1 millimeter. So I'll be down late October.
So our buddy was out in Tahoe last week.
Our buddy?
Yeah. So I'm talking to him and they're flying back. Now, the crew that he's with because they're flying back on a plane.
Right.
Not a commercial one.
Correct.
And the Powerball came up. And these guys are all talking about how their lives really wouldn't change if they won it.
Bastards.
Oh, man.
Golly.
What's the thoughts are with you, buddy?
What's the point of having money if you can't say thinking of your death stroke. That's when you look at them affectionately with the biggest smile you can muster and go, blank you. Would change our life.
What really sucks is hitting 5 numbers would change my life, David.
Totally.
I actually have a massage on Thursday. First one in probably 3 years.
Good.
Here we go.
You'll feel better.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. We'll switch gears in a little more than 15 minutes' time. We'll talk to an Orioles beat writer. They're a game out of first. Are they going to overtake the Rays? They're going to win the AL East? The heck, 2 years ago, they lost like 400 games. What's going on here? Big 4-game series beginning Thursday at the Trop. Rays and Orioles. It's kind of cool not to have it be a Rays, Red Sox, Rays, Yankees big series in the AL East, right?
I wonder if anybody shows up for it. I wonder if they put fans in for it. Because it's a big series. The Rays now and their last, I think, 58 games are 29-29, David.
7-game losing streak will really hurt that winning percentage, won't it?
I understand that, but whatever they started out, I thought I read yesterday they were 29-28 since that great start. Well, they lost yesterday, so 29-29. You know, you've made comments after the Yankees 50-20 start a year ago, the type of ball they've been playing. Well, we do have to look at the same thing with the Rays. After their miraculous start, they are playing .500 baseball.
That's fair. Absolutely. The Yankees, after the 50-20 start, went 49-43. And so far this year, they're 50-45. I mean, you know, at what point does Brian Cashman look at his product and go, this is not that good a product. This is not a playoff product. I got to do better than this. Very quickly, you asked as we ended that last segment, and we were talking NIL, and you wondered, when is it that UCF? So I went through, on 3 Sports top 20 NIL rankings, and we went through the top 10. Well, just outside the top 20, by the way, one group of 5 school in the top 20, SMU. Mark, they pay every football and basketball player $36,000 a year.
Damn.
It costs them $3.5 million. And they announced that last August. There's only one other NIL that even comes close to that. Texas Tech, by the way, nearly made the top 10 NILs in part because they offer all their athletes $25,000 a year. When I say all their athletes, I talk football and basketball. It's called the Matadors Club, by the way. This also, Mark, may be a reason why SMU's been linked to the Pac-12. Well, if you're the Pac-12, if SMU's making top 20 NIL lists, that's got to interest you, right? Never mind the whole Texas connection. Okay. The 5 schools that were listed honorable mention. Ohio State. Okay. Clemson. UCF. Houston. Indiana. So UCF and Houston in the top 25 so far in the first 2 years of collective, and they both now have been brought into the Big 12. But you wondered, where's UCF, and, are they going to be able to compete with the big boys? Well,
they're off to a good start.
Yeah, in the top 25 nationally, according to On 3 Sports. So, for what it's worth, by the way, since Ohio State's honorable mention, and every time we mention Ohio State, I feel as if we also have to mention Michigan, they're 13th.
Michigan figured their NIL collective out quickly because they were behind when it first started, and their collective has their act together, which shouldn't surprise anybody because, well, there's a lot of rich people that have important degrees from the University of Michigan.
Georgia 14, Oklahoma 17, just to give you an idea. But Texas Tech 11. Some schools that may surprise them. Florida State 6, Texas Tech 11, SMU 20th, Washington 15th, which may make them more attractive to the Big Ten in a couple of years. Who knows? So, there you go.
Oregon and Washington way up there on the list. Stanford and Cal, nowhere. I mean, just in terms of the Big Ten, Washington and Oregon passing the test, at least in the NIL land, of being right there.
And Kansas in the top 20. That's how big basketball is to them. They're the only school in the top 20 in which you go, well, they're here because of hoops.
Right,
whatever
no,
with
lay
football.
on that list.
So there you have it. Nebraska also in the top 20. And we're looking, some coaches in their infancy that have done really well on the recruiting trail. Nebraska having a lot more success recruiting than Scott Frost had. So we'll see. Anyway, on 3 Sports, it was late June for those that are looking for the list. It's their top 20 collective list. On 3 Sports, ON3 Sports. That's the site. Andy Staples, by the way, just switched over from The Athletic to On3. In fact, the On3 is basically billing themselves as The Athletic, only better and much easier to operate. Because for as much as Miller and Moulton love The Athletic, the website sucks.
Man, does it ever.
Man, and the content's fantastic.
I read a great story in The Athletic, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but one of the writers basically revamped the entire world of college football, college sports, and put conferences geographically and mix them up where they're supposed to. Florida fans would hate it because they took you out of the SEC and put you in the Big East.
What?
Oh, yeah. It's one of those articles that's a fun read. It has no chance of ever happening. It brought back the Southwest Conference. It did have one key ingredient to me, David. It said all conference names, wait for it, cannot be inaccurate of what's in the conference.
Well, damn, we got problems.
They even had the Big 9 in that conference. I think it was the Pac, went back to the Pac 8.
My goodness, who'd they kick out of the Big 10 then?
Rutgers, Penn State.
Wow, kicked out Penn State, huh?
It like I said, it didn't.
Right.
It's not anything that's going to happen. It was this man's dream. And you and I have talked about putting back the regionalization of sports the way that it should be. And it's a fun read in The Athletic, but I only stumbled upon it. And then when I want to find it again, David, that'll never happen. 21,000 is the text line, 21000. People commenting today on a few things. Felipe taking a little heat. Felipe's Miami Marlins are on a losing streak where my Phillies are only a half game back. I do not think the Marlins will make the playoffs. They're coming at you, Felipe. That's a good sign when they actually remember what you say and are coming at you individually. You can shake your head over there all you want, but that's a sign of affection from our audience.
It's a tough weekend for the Marlins. Couldn't take one.
No. But I also didn't understand why it was you had an opener on Sunday. I don't know how you don't have your pitching lined up. But then again, the Rays had to throw an opener in a doubleheader on Saturday against Kansas City. So it's amazing the injuries that are. The Red Sox only have 3 starting pitchers right now. But they're ham and egging it and doing it effectively. So it's remarkable what's out there. Miller and Moulton disagreed earlier in the show about the National League and the wild card. I'm putting the Phillies and the Giants in. I think there's Marlins and Diamondbacks and maybe the Reds, but the Marlins and Diamondbacks are fighting for the 6th seed. Mark's not willing to put the Giants in.
I'm not. Although it's an every other year thing. They were good 2 years ago, so it does bode that they would have a good year this year because that's kind of how the Giants go. But I don't remember if it was even odd before. I thought it was even years that they were good.
Last decade it was. This decade it's odd. Last decade it was even. Good call, Mark.
Odd. So a couple of things. And David came close today of giving me, when I did ask him a question about two teams, he did come close to giving me a Kevin Durant answer of picking the third team.
I did.
So we're in football form. We're getting there. We're ready. The magic numbers are closing down. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, here's something that's interesting. If you don't put the little notch on the cup where your mouth is, you tend to spill things on yourself.
Okay.
Just missed my mouth with coffee. I want Dak to throw 24 interceptions this year.
Sorry, that's 8 teams open training camp today. Rookies, anyway. Mello, I'm so with you about the Athletic. Drives me nuts. I want to support it, and the material is good, but God, what I don't understand, since the New York Times bought it, the New York Times website's not this crappy. So why did they allow the Athletic site to continue to be this crappy?
There is no rhyme or reason to the Athletics website.
No. Hey, Felipe.
Yeah.
I made a mistake. Jacob had requested that I text him like 30 minutes ago, and I only texted him like 5 minutes ago. So I have not gotten a response from him. So not sure how this is going to go when you call.
All right, I'll call him now.
Well, I'd wait.
Well,
I'd wait. Actually, call him when like the music starts.
Okay.
Johnny Bench.
Oops. Oh, wait, hold on. You can call him now. He's ready.
All right.
It's our guy, too. Can't tell those jokes anymore.
Wasn't even a joke. He just blurted it out.
I know.
Rose says he was cheap, and Bench goes, he was.
He's doing.
What did? Come on.
I know.
Johnny?
Could tell someone's age.
Uh-huh.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Our final segment along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. The bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour in the 239 Miller and Moulton Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett to join us on the show tomorrow. Jacob Calvin Meyer, kind enough to join us for the first time. He covers the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun. A game back of the Rays, getting ready for a huge 4-game series at the Trop beginning Thursday. You can follow Jacob on Twitter, the letter J Calvin Meyer. That's Meyer, the letter J Calvin Meyer. Jacob, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, fellas. Good morning. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, it is our pleasure. All right. They had a terrific season last year. Didn't do a ton, to say the least, during the offseason. So how much of a surprise is the Orioles season thus far? Or did you and the organization think, yeah, the young guy's going to get better. We're going to be good.
Yeah, no, great question. I think the organization isn't necessarily surprised. They were going into the season expecting to be a playoff team. Now, every year there's about 20 to 25 teams across the league that say that. So whether or not they actually believed it, I don't know. But it seems like they did. The projection systems and the sports books going into the year all projected the Orioles to regress in 2023. Typically, historically, in Major League Baseball history, teams that do what the Orioles did in 2022, which is go from being one of the worst teams in the league the previous year to breaking that glass ceiling and really shocking people, they tend to regress the following year. And so I guess personally, I was expecting them to do that, to just probably play around 500 ball, have a little bit of a worse season than the prior year. And then I thought 2024 would be their year. But so I think nationally, I think people are surprised considering, like you said, they didn't do a ton in the offseason. One thing that they did do that may have been a little bit underrated is the guys that they did bring in have all been upgrades versus what they had last year. So Kyle Gibson has come in, hasn't been amazing, but he's had a mid-4 ERA, and he's been better this year than what Jordan Lyles was last year on the rotation. They brought in James McCann, who again has not been great as the backup catcher to Adley Rutschman, but defensively he's been much better than Robinson Chirinos, who was one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball last season. And then thirdly and lastly, Adam Frazier at second base. Again, he's putting up around league average numbers, but he's hit 11 or 12 home runs, a career high already, on pace to hit 20, which is shocking for him. And he's been a big upgrade as well over Rougned Odor at second base. So it's kind of like a little bit of an upgrade in a couple different places, and then you bring up some young guys, and here they are.
Well, and I wonder, and I could be way off base with this, but the Rays got off to such the great start, and everybody was talking about the Rays. While the Orioles got off to a really good start, they were able to fly under the radar a little bit in the AL East because of what the Rays did. And it seemed that the comfort level for this team, the way they've been able to come back this year, they're playing with a lot of comfort. And it's just surprising their ability to come back on a nightly basis, because I don't think there's any team that has more comeback wins than the Orioles this year.
Yeah, 33 comeback wins. Of their 57 wins have been in come from behind fashion. And, when we talk to them about that, they say that kind of started last season. Last year, when they had that run, remember, they didn't start the year great. They call up Adley Rutschman. And then last July, they had that 10-game winning streak. It puts them back to 500. And then they were in the wild card chase basically the rest of the season. A lot of those wins similarly were comeback wins, late inning, exciting walk-off wins. And I think a lot of the guys, they say that if you look back to last season, that's kind of when the tide started to turn for them, and when they could realize, hey, even though maybe our payroll isn't what these other teams are, or the expectations coming into the season isn't what it is, we can compete. And if we're losing in the seventh inning, we can come back in those games. And just as important, I think a big problem during the rebuild for any rebuilding team is the fact that anytime the Orioles did have a lead, it felt like they were going to give it up. And obviously with the back end of their bullpen now with Yenier Cano and Felix Bautista, when they do have a lead, for the most part, they hold it.
He's Jacob Calvin Meyer. He covers the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun. Follow him on Twitter, the letter J Calvin Meyer, J Calvin Meyer, Meyer. Jacob, with all of the good young players that the Orioles have, with seemingly 2 or 3 more top-notch waiting in AAA, are the Orioles about to become a younger version of the Braves? Like, is this group going to be together and under contract? The Braves starting lineup, I think, is under contract for 3 more seasons after this one. Is this going to be the case with Baltimore? I mean, is this team basically going to be together till about 26, 27, 28?
Yeah, that's an outstanding question. And when you said that, it made me think of, Orioles owner John Angelos. When he has given organizations that he views similar to the Orioles, he's given a couple examples. He's given the Milwaukee Brewers, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Cleveland Indians. And the reason for that is teams that, he didn't say this, of course, but typically those teams don't have very high payrolls, but they have year in, year out done a really good job of developing players and kept a pretty competitive product on the field. And especially in recent years, those teams haven't really had to go through a super painful rebuild that the Orioles have. And so the reason I mention that is because they do have the ability, if they really put their chips in the middle of the table, to be the Atlanta Braves of the American League if they do what Atlanta has done, which is sign these guys early. Atlanta has signed, I don't know all of them, but I'm pretty sure they signed Michael Harris, Spencer Strider, one of their infielders. I mean, they've done this with a lot of guys where they've
Acuna
gotten them on pretty team-friendly deals. At least they appear to be team-friendly because they signed them really early in the process, took on a little bit of that risk. And if the Orioles could do the same, maybe not to the same extent, but if they could sign Adley Rutschman, sign Gunnar Henderson. Hey, Grayson Rodriguez isn't pitching great. His ERA is over 7, but I think everybody believes that he's going to turn it around. If you could ink Grayson Rodriguez to a deal, some of these guys, if they could do that, then yes, I think it would be a lot more exciting. I think the concern locally, and I'm sure Tampa Bay fans can empathize with this, is that that there's a question of whether or not they're going to sign these guys in the long term.
Is there a glaring hole that you think the Orioles will try to fill with the trade deadline, or is this just simply a team that's going to call up players?
Yeah, again, a great question. I think a lot of the improvements can come from within. Grayson Rodriguez got called up yesterday to be that fifth starter in the rotation. He wasn't pitching well to begin the season, but he went down to AAA and has been pitching a lot better. If he can realize his potential and be kind of somebody that you value as maybe a number 3 starter the rest of the way, I think that would be great for them. Coming into the year, a lot of people assumed that they would probably be in the market for a starting pitcher at the deadline. I think if you look at the top of the rotation, there is a hole there. They don't have that Shane McClanahan, right? But at the same time, the cost of a starting pitcher at the deadline is going to be pretty high, and their rotation for the most part has been pretty solid, especially recently. So I think the biggest hole, and I think it's probably similar for Tampa Bay, is just some bullpen help. The Orioles have this great back end of the bullpen with Cano and Bautista, but we've seen it recently here that the middle relief has really been a struggle, and they also have 5 relievers on the injured list right now. So I think the most likely thing that they do is go out and buy a reliever, maybe 2, to really solidify the bullpen.
Will they spend any money? Like, would they bring in a Lance Lynn, who's nowadays no better than a 3, maybe a 4 starter, but he makes his turn every 5 days and he pitches into the 7th most days? Will they go take on a David Robertson off of the Mets, perhaps, who's making 10, 11 million a year? So that's about $4 million for the rest of the season. Will they spend money?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's the, no pun intended, the $1 million question. Not just at this deadline, but moving forward. This is a team that's had one of the lowest payrolls in baseball during the Mike Elias era, and owner John Angelos has not spent a ton of money on this roster yet. And that doesn't mean to say that he won't, but we just haven't seen that yet. And so, in terms of the deadline, I think the one thing that could be optimistic to show that, okay, if they like Lance Lynn and they want to go get him and the price is right in terms of the prospects that they need to give up, I don't know if the money is going to completely shy them away. David Robertson as well, same thing. Because if you look at this offseason, they did give out some money. Again, it wasn't a ton, but they gave out $10 million to Kyle Gibson when they could have gone with the cheaper option. They gave up $8 million to Adam Frazier when they have all of these infield prospects. And they gave up $5 million to Michael Gibbons, who has only pitched 4 innings for them this season. And so hopefully that's not a detraction for them to go out and buy at the deadline. But at the same time, as long as it's not a crazy price and somebody that they're taking on a ridiculous contract that could hamper them in the future, I don't think a couple $1 million here or there for the remainder of the season is going to prevent them from buying. I think the bigger question is whether the prospects that they're going to have to give up, because you're paying at a premium at the deadline, whether that is worth it for them, not just for the rest of the season, but how it's going to, impact the organization long term.
Jacob, final question. Is there any way to know if the players are ready for this? I mean, they were at the periphery of the playoff race last year, but, they have a chance to be the 1 seed. They have a chance to win the East. They have a chance to go to the World Series. Is the room ready for this pressurized situation, the most pressurized situation that damn near everybody on the roster's ever played in?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because you mentioned they kind of have flown under the radar for most of the season, because up until a couple days ago, the expectation was, okay, the Rays are going to run away with the division. So if the Orioles can be the top wild card team, that would be great. But now they're in a position where, they certainly could win the division if they have a great second half, especially if they win some of these games coming up against Tampa Bay. I think whether the clubhouse is ready, I think that's something that you can't really know until it happens. And if you see them and they're in a wild card series in October and they get swept, I think maybe you'll have your answer then. But at the same time, I think somebody like Kyle Gibson coming in, somebody like James McCann coming in, these are veterans who have been there and done that and pitched in the playoffs. And I think they can really shepherd some of the younger clubhouse. And at the same time, manager Brandon Hyde talks about this often, that while a lot of these guys are young, they've gone through a good bit in their careers. They had, some of them lost the season because of COVID and they had to grow up that way. A lot of them stayed down on the minors maybe longer than they were expecting. Like Jordan Westberg had to, play 160 games in AAA while putting up crazy numbers because of the infield logjam. And then you've got Adley Rutschman, who, whether or not he's ready for a pressurized situation, I think we learned that at the Home Run Derby. Obviously not the same thing as, hitting in the postseason or hitting in a key series in September, but there aren't many bigger pressure moments than being at the Home Run Derby and doing what he did. And so I would probably say, I think they are ready, but are they better than the Rays and are they going to win the division? I'd still say no, but I don't think they won't because they aren't mature enough or they aren't ready for that big moment yet.
Hey, Jacob, thanks for making time for us, particularly at this hour, especially since you're in the middle of a series and you worked last night. Safe travels to St. Pete. Enjoy the series. Hopefully we can catch up again down the stretch.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Jacob Calvin Meyer covers the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun. Follow him on Twitter, the letter J, Calvin Meyer, Meyer. It's interesting. Even he's still picking the Rays to win the East. I don't think they have enough starting pitching in Baltimore. I'll be brutally honest with you. I don't.
And
I
their
think they
pitching
need.
was really good. It's been good in the month of July. They've kind of been over their skis this month, the way they've been throwing the ball.
Now their bullpen is phenomenal. Phenomenal. If they can play 6-inning games, they can go to the World Series. But it's fun. I mean, in Baltimore, this is like the Rays 2008, and that team made it to the World Series.
Love your comparison with the Braves, though, because they've got so many quality players that are young that they could potentially sign on the cheap. We talk about this with the Rays. The Rays don't do that. That's not their move.
But they did it with Wander.
Exactly.
Granted, $190 million. On the cheapest, not so cheap anymore. But like if you're the Orioles, don't you offer, the catcher Rutschman there, Adley, kind of what the Braves did right away with Acuna. You just throw $100 million at him. And you just try to, if he's betting on himself, he should say no because he's leaving at least $100 million on the table. But,
it's such ridiculous money. It's hard to say no when you still got a few years left of what could happen.
Right.
Because, David, we started the show talking football. Unlike football, if he signs that deal, it's 100% guaranteed, no matter what happens.
Funny how that works. Football should try that someday. Might be worth striking over one day. Just a thought.
Wonder where I've heard that before. Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice. If you missed any of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com to download any portion that you missed. Thanks so much for listening. We'll do it again in the morning. The bonus hour in the 239. That comes up next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, The Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello? Good morning, David. I'm sorry, you're on the air, aren't you? That's fine. I'm in a commercial break. I got.
I'm so nice to David. I mute all his personal stuff that he does.
I did the exact same thing. I muted him.
He did one yesterday too, and yesterday sounded a little important. I'm like,
Yeah, it was like a.
It was a doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like,
I'm no.
No. Yeah.
Got to be honest. I was planning on doing a show Friday alone, and then David said he was doing a best of. I'm like, okay.
That's what I thought.
I was planning on it, but
I'm cool with that.
I took a tea time once he said that.
It'll be a nice breather for me.
You have Fridays off, right?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good for you. That'll work out even better.
That'll be perfect. My weekend will start Thursday morning.
There is nothing better than the Facebook page for my neighborhood. The things that these old people complain about, it's just next level.
Like, give me an example.
All right. This is a picture of mulch.
You got a minute.
It's a picture of mulch in the community, like where the community pool parking lot is the clubhouse. I always thought mulch was put down to stop weed growth.
Oh.
How can we have put mulch down in a car parking space with the sole purpose of growing weeds? This mature heap has been here for months. The owner of the car parking space had an HOA violation yet. Oh, it is just something.
At your place?
Yeah, it's my absolute favorite thing is reading the neighborhood Facebook comments. I don't ever. The only thing I've wanted to do is when they really get going is put Mark Miller, realtor, willing to list your home today. No, you got to get
Invited.
invited. You got to be in the
Accepted.
neighborhood, right?
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Had good shows, even during the dog days of summer. Got a lot to talk about. And 8 NFL teams have opened up training camps to rookies today, including the Dolphins. That's right. You're going to see highlights, whether it be on your local news. Oh, no, they don't do sports in Southwest Florida anymore in your local news. ESPN, NFL Network.
Wherever you download your highlights, David, that's where they'll be.
Right. Twitter, YouTube. Falcons, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins, Saints, Giants. Big guys sweating. Helmets, shoulder pads. It's on. We're doing this again. Yeah.
I don't want folks to get too excited today, though.
Why? Why? Why are you keeping me down?
All right. Everybody get really excited about a bunch of guys showing up that are going to get cut from the team.
Woohoo!
That until the veterans show up, we don't even really care about the injuries unless it's our first round draft pick.
Yeah.
And we still have a month and a half before real football's played.
Right on.
And in the past, you and I have gotten a little excited about training camps and preseason thinking that football's here when it's not here yet.
I know. Just, life's just not going as well as I had hoped it to be, Mark. So I'm pinning my hopes on some false hype. That's all. Just
stick with trying to win the Powerball and the Mega Millions.
It's like 1.7 billion between the two now. I mean, I really would stop working now.
I mean, with the cash buyouts, you could damn near get the Ottawa Senators.
In fact, I told Felipe, was it last week, I'd give him $500,000. Felipe, if this thing keeps going up, you might get 7 figures. I said might. I mean, I might split the difference, $750.
Well, don't you want Dolphin season tickets too?
But your enthusiasm, Felipe, should have boasted your chance at 7 figures. I mean, I thought you came with some energy there, and that was apparently too much for David.
Well, I just thought David wanted Dolphin season tickets. That's all.
I mean, wait, what does it have to do with me getting Dolphin season tickets?
I have no idea. Apparently, if Felipe wins, he's getting season tickets. That's all. That's all he wants. He wins $1.7 billion or $1 billion, whatever the hell this is. He wants Dolphins and Heat season tickets. That's all he's looking for out of this.
But he made it sound as if I win the billion and I give him some of it, he's going to buy me Dolphin season tickets.
Or
That's
he's
the way he made it
the
sound.
extra ticket.
Right.
You'll be able to go to, because you gave him all that money, you'll be able to go to a game with him.
Felipe, this just in. You'll be sitting in section 314. I'll have the suite directly below it.
With half, you said $500,000 you'll be giving me?
Yes.
And it could go up. I mean, this thing keeps going up, Felipe.
He's getting better. All he's telling you is he's getting better seats in the 300 level for $500,000. That's all he's telling you.
I have to admit, though, Dolphins have already sold a lot of tickets. They have a great home schedule. Dolphins tickets are tough to get this year. I actually tried to pull a Mark Miller with the Dolphins. Mark jumped all over the Bucs. The second that the word was kind of sort of out there, is Tom Brady going to the Bucs? Mark Miller bought a suite. Boom. Or really good tickets
Club
anyway.
seats, but yeah.
Club seats. There you go. And so he had them for the whole Brady era there. And so I took a look at the Dolphins schedule and I'm like, they're going to be entertaining this year. Hell, FAU and Miami basketball went to the Final Four. This is South Florida sports year. I'm getting club seats. I couldn't get them. I signed up. I waited on line, on the phone forever, the whole deal, made my appointment. I couldn't get them. They were gone.
Felipe, what season ticket would you buy? You only can buy one. Is it Heat for you?
Oh, no doubt. Heat. Just because 41 home games is the perfect amount,
Sounds like about 35 too many for me, but that's all right.
I was going to say, not only that, I mean, do you think you'll have how many you think Damian Lillard will play? You think he'll play 30?
Well, it doesn't matter because in the NBA, you play against every team in the league. So I get to see every team in the league in Miami.
But no guarantee that those guys will play when it's their turn to play either.
Which is the most frustrating part about load management, but that's a topic for another discussion.
What Florida season ticket would you get? Because I know you would be Giants or Rangers, and I get that. But you can have one season ticket in the state of Florida. What would you buy?
Ooh, that's a great question.
That is a poll question.
Wow.
A late one, but...
So it could be college or it could be pro and it could be any sport.
Correct.
Wow. I may need a moment, actually. This is now, we just talking tickets or, can I get a suite? I mean, because I'm going to be a big spender now. Mark, no more tipping 22%. I mean, those days are over, baby. Although I must admit, you browbeat me all those years ago. I tip now like I have money. I tip now to the point in which it's like, wow, I just emptied my wallet.
No, see, David, this is what I guess I never was able to impress upon you. There is nothing wrong with a 22% tip. It is a nice tip. You just always acted as if you were a big tipper by tipping 22%.
I thought I was a B. I thought I was a B, almost B plus, and you said you're not there.
You're a B minus. I think you're a B minus at 22% because there's still a lot of cheap people out there.
Okay, but you're right. I thought that I tipped the way, like I was a B plus student, and I thought I tipped kind of the way I was a student.
I think that's a B tip.
Okay.
Where my servers that are heading in for lunch shifts right now, 21,000's a text line, is 22%. Where would you, if you were to grade a 22% tip, what grade would you give it?
I'm minimum 30% now, honestly.
Oh, that's A plus.
I haven't given a tip of less than 30% since Mark browbeat me there. We got, 2014. Honestly. I don't know where I found the money to tip like this.
Do you ever get anything? See, I have my credit card will every once in a while send me notifications. And I have tipped large at a bar or something like that where you end up tipping an outrageous amount of, almost 50, 60% tip for whatever reason. And my credit card will send me a thing. Did you mean to tip that much? Basically trying to find out if the waiter's scamming me.
Interesting. I've never gotten one of those.
Those Capital One folks are pretty good.
I don't tip on my credit card.
Ah.
All my tips are in cash.
Look at you, big spender.
Well, we just know that, as somebody who worked for tips for many years, I think it's ridiculous that, wait a minute. Now the government's going to get their hands on the tips? Hell no. No. I want the waiter or the waitress to have their hands all over this tip. I want them to waste it, not Uncle Sam. By the way, and I'm being drop dead serious when I say this. And obviously I would have to live, near there, but let's just say getting to these games was not a problem. I would buy Messi soccer tickets.
Ooh.
For the next couple years, I would be all in on Messi. And then I would change gears probably in about 2026, 2027. If I could only do one, that's what I would do.
If weather weren't a factor, it would change us because I wouldn't pick a football team.
Right. It's too hot in September.
It's in October. I mean, November and December, lovely. First 2 months, not that great. I might go Lightning.
Oh, look at you. Nice. Nice. I will say if you go Panthers, you could probably get better seats just because more is available. And it's a little closer to you. Team's not as good, but although this year, obviously, they were finally.
But I'm adding the whole thing into it. The
Right.
atmosphere.
Yeah. Great
tailgate,
atmosphere.
The
Yes.
Lightning put on a great product.
Yes, they do. On and off the ice.
Right. That's
That's
part
a
of
good
my
one.
vote.
That's a good one. I like that.
I'm
Never
obviously
have to worry about the weather too, which is right up your alley.
And I like hockey more than hoop, and that's why I don't discount
No,
your
that's-
Heat. I think I think those are those are 1 and 1A to me, and because
Right.
they're the two best organizations in the state.
because the Heat game experience at home in Miami is one of the better experiences. I think that's a common belief amongst people around the league because A, they play great basketball every night, and B, it feels like you're in a club. It's the Miami
See, and
nightlife feel.
Felipe, in all honesty, that's why that would probably work for you. Got to remember, Miller and Moulton, it's been 14 years? We went clubbing at the Clevelander.
I went to a club. I went to visit my son at college, and he took me from a bar to a club, and we were in the club first off, I'm a dad in the club, and after we were there for about 30 minutes, I'm like, can we go somewhere else?
Well,
Please.
it won't work for you, but it'll work for people.
That's
in
why.
Miami.
But I want to go.
Exactly.
I've never been to a home Heat game.
Oh, it is fantastic.
So that's a bucket list sports item for me that I want to do next year. In fact, I want to go now. I don't just want to go to a game. I want to go to a game with you, Felipe.
Oh, that'd be great.
Mr. Miami Heat, as I like to call you.
Look at this. You're going clubbing with Felipe?
Yep.
By the way, Felipe, for the record, Miller and Moulton mark right around 40. All right. I'm approaching rapidly. In fact, I think I was 44. All right. The Clevelander told us we had to go home. Okay. That's how late we were there. You guys need to leave. Not because we were dorky, but because it was after 4 a.m. Just for the record, we closed that sucker down.
It's funny how many times I've heard that story, whereas people in Miami do that on a weekly basis.
I understand. I'm just saying, though.
Felipe, I used to do it on a weekly basis. I used to do it a couple times a week when I wasn't that much younger. There was a period in my life between wife 1 and wife 2 that a lot of parties went from the bar to my house until 4 or 5 in the morning.
Felipe,
I've been there.
He used to do that while hosting a morning show. Okay? He had game.
That was tough. Few drives in, we're running a little late. Run the first commercial break. I'll be there at 6:08. No one's listening anyhow.
Nah, exactly. You're like Euchre doing the Indians games. No one's listening anyway.
So is 22% what grade would you give that as a tip? What Florida season ticket would you want most? You can have any. 21,000 is the text line. Miller and Moulton, we're in the bonus hour right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, this is one of those days that I wonder if anybody's listening besides those in the Twitch chat room, because those are pretty intriguing questions and not one text. Not one. And don't you go from the chat room and just text me so I get a text. I don't need that.
So would you put money on Fleetwood?
I think he's a good bet. I just don't know if he can win it. It's funny. I was talking to Bucks about that yesterday, of guys that haven't won. Fleetwood's been playing really well lately. Really well.
And he's the only player on tour who's in like top 30, and they put like 4 big stats together. He's the only one in the top 30 in all 4 stats.
Like, put it this way, a great head-to-head. Fowler or Fleetwood this week is, to me, a great head-to-head.
Nice. They're playing 2 groups apart. They just released the groups.
Yeah, I saw that about a half hour ago, right? I saw some of them.
Hovland, Finau, JT. And then the very next group, McIlroy, Rahm, and Justin Rose. God almighty. Then Morikawa, Homa, Hatton. And they put Phil in a group with Nick Taylor and Adam Schenk. Unbelievable.
Dick Button's 94 today, David.
That's remarkable. Phil's in the 6th to last group. Is it 5 hours difference? 5 or 6?
5.
It's 5. Rory, Rahm, and Rose tee off at 10 a.m. our time.
Yes.
9:59.
9:59, right? Yeah.
Right. Over under 5-hour rounds.
Over. These things usually stack up pretty good over there.
Does JT miss the cut? I say yes. You know, he may have to make the cut to be on the Ryder Cup team. Peacock.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes after the hour. Seth Everett, Pat Kerwin to join us tomorrow on Miller and Moulton. We're off Friday. Just to let you know. 4-day weeks. Probably our last day off until, I don't know, Thanksgiving. Right. Oh, no, we're taking Labor Day off.
Okay, you're right.
Right. So, yeah. 2 days off between now and Thanksgiving. Oh, boy. Hey, the tee times are out for the Open Championship. Somebody over there wrote a nasty article about people like me, which they said, listen here, Americans, it's the Open Championship. It's not the British. Which is funny because growing up in the 70s and 80s, the broadcaster said the British Open. Arnold Palmer won the British Open back to back. He did. Take a look at the newsreels. That's what they called it. But anyway, 10 a.m. Thursday, our time. About 3 in the afternoon theirs. The group, Mark. Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Justin Rose. Right after that's Morikawa, Homer, and Hatton. Right before that's Hovland, Finau, and JT.
Be curious how JT plays.
He's been lousy.
I know.
For a couple months. He's not on the Ryder Cup team right now, is he?
No.
He's like 8th or 9th, right? And the top 6 automatically qualify?
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know that he's already a Hall of Fame player, but I can't put him on this team unless he starts showing a little bit of form here. John Daly, by the way, 9 a.m. our time. All right, in a group with Danny Willett. You go through here.
When Scheffler playing, who's he playing with? Did you see that one? That would be the only other one that you missed that I'm curious about.
Scheffler, he's in the morning. Let me go in here.
And I think, they had weather yesterday. We'll see what it's going to be like. This could very much be a British Open that your tee time is going to depend. It could be very important on whether or not you win this tournament. Do you get the morning, afternoon, or do you get the afternoon, morning? And that's I think, could play a part in this.
So let's see. It's a 5-hour difference, right? So 4 a.m. our time on Peacock Thursday, Jordan Spieth, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jason Day. Followed by Harrington, Seamus Power, and Taylor Gooch. I am really interested. Gooch has won 3 times on LIV this year. Taylor Gooch, before he made the switch from the PGA Tour to the LIV, was a top 30 ranked player in the world. I'm wondering if Gooch has an Open Championship here worth a damn. Like, to the point where I might throw a few shekels on him. Because don't you think you can get him for at least 40-1?
Oh, for sure. For sure, David.
4:30 or thereabouts, our time on Thursday in the morning, Patrick Cantlay, Brooks Koepka, Hideki Matsuyama. Followed by 4:45, Mark. 4:47 a.m. our time, Thursday, Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, Adam Scott. A lot of people throwing some money Fleetwood's way saying he's due.
For the record, I've got just quick, the first one I looked up, David, and, I never trust all these odds completely, but I've got Gooch at 70-1.
Right. Listen, if we had a legitimate world golf ranking system, he'd be a top 30 player in the world. That's pretty good odds for a guy who can play. Defending champion Cam Smith, 5 a.m. mark. Smith, Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark. The next group, Ricky Fowler, Shane Lowry, Robert McIntyre.
Ricky Fowler going off at 20-1. Fleetwood 20-1. Schauffele 25-1.
Did you hear the story of the guy who's going to hit the first tee shot? He's from that town. That's his home course. He had to qualify. And he made it. And so they honored him. He was there as a fan in 06. He talked about he stood and watched Tiger on the putting green for 20 minutes, and he couldn't even speak. He said, I couldn't even ask him for an autograph.
Would you throw any money on Padraig Harrington at 125-1?
No. Now, if you gave me, does he make the cut? Yes. A top 25 finish? Yes. I would throw some money that way. To win? No, I would not. Even though Norman took the lead into the final round when he was in his early 50s. Obviously, Watson had the lead on the 72nd hole at 59. Harrington has won there twice.
It's just all. He's been playing great. The odds are astronomical.
Can I get 100-1?
125-1 on Harrington.
Oh, okay. Well, then, all right. Yeah, you talked me into it. Yeah, if I'm buying Powerball tickets, how could I not throw a few shekels on Padraig Harrington? So, Jordan Spieth, by the way, at 4 a.m. our time. He's in the group before Harrington.
He's 33-1 for what it's worth.
That'll be the first group on Peacock. Jordan Spieth, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jason Day. I just love the fact that Phil's playing with two no-names again. They gave Koepka a good group. They gave DJ kind of a group. Okay? But Phil's playing with two Yahoos in the sixth to last group of the day. And it's Phil Mickelson. I mean, he's one of the 15 greatest golfers of all time. He's a former Open champion. He's playing with Nick Taylor and Adam Schenk.
I wouldn't want to ever play golf with a guy named Schenk.
That's you're onto something there.
But a couple of guys you mentioned, Matt Fitzpatrick's 40-1. Hatton's 22-1. Shane Lowry 28-1. Morikawa 30-1. Rory's the favorite at 7-1. Scheffler at plus 750. Rahm at 11-1. Cam Smith 14-1. Koepka, Hovland, Fowler, Fleetwood all 20-1.
Koepka in a group with Cantlay and Matsuyama. So they gave him a group.
Well, does he really want to play with Cantlay?
Probably not.
I'm serious.
That's probably why they stuck him there. They go, we'll screw him. We'll put him with the slowest player on tour.
Fastest player out there, we'll put you with the slowest player out there. Enjoy.
And Matsuyama's not a speedster either. Hey, did you see what Billy Horschel said yesterday, though? Horschel was asked about, a lot of guys upset with, the lack of transparency and what have you. He goes, yeah, I got to be honest. I know it's supposedly the Players Tour. He goes, I've never thought that. He goes, now I thought we had input. I thought it was a Players Input Tour. He goes, but I'm not an expert in all these issues. I don't think 12 guys like me should be deciding what we're doing. That's why we hire the Jay Monahans of the world, because this is their area of expertise. He goes, now, maybe a little more input. But he goes, I actually totally understand why they don't tell us what they don't tell us until when it is they tell us it. He's the only one publicly to support the way they're going about their business, Billy Horschel.
He should be a real hit in the clubhouse this week. They'll all love those comments. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Billy Horschel, at least in the PGA Tour circles. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap. It's how we finish things out. We'll do all of that next and get a final decision on whether a 22% tip is a B-plus tip.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Still don't have my electrical problem fixed.
No?
Nope. Spent $2,000. Okay. And my guess is, based on what the electricians, 2 of them have told me, is the local electric company is going to come out today, because I brought them out first. And they said, no, all our stuff is fine. You know, you have to bring an electrician out here to test your stuff. Well, I've either replaced or tested every single thing that could be the buildings or mine. It's all working. So my guess is JEA, the Jacksonville Electric Authority, is going to come out today and they're going to go, oh, yeah, our meter's the problem. And I'm going to go, so you mean when I brought you out here a month ago and you told me the meter was fine, so are you going to pay me the $2,000 I just spent?
Sue him.
Oh boy. Photos of Messi and his first day training with Inter Miami.
I saw that.
Ooh. Still doesn't feel real.
Did you see Ronaldo? Are Saudi leagues better than the MLS?
I did.
Maybe it is.
And it will continue to get more players in the MLS.
I hope you're having fun in not America.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, that's what floridasportsnetwork.com is for. Download our podcast. Every hour is its own podcast. Did you see, because Rory's not talking to the media today, but John Rahm just sat down with the media, and he was asked about, hey, you know, one of the things that's out there is you top players who didn't go to LIV, you're going to get compensated for staying. This is what John Rahm said. Yeah, I wasn't forced into anything. It was my choice to stay. Do I think they absolutely should be and there must be compensation? No. I just stayed because I think it's the best choice for myself and the golf I want to play. As I've said before, I make an amazing living doing what I do. I'm extremely thankful. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, they've done enough for me. Their focus should be on improving the PGA Tour and the game of golf for future generations. I wonder if his Ryder Cup teammate Rory McIlroy feels the same way.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think Rory's ever left $1 on the table.
And remember, Rory thinks all the LIV guys should basically be sent to Siberia. Rahm wants Sergio on the damn Ryder Cup team.
And I'll tell you what, Rory, I will say this, Rory, you better have a hell of a Ryder Cup. You better have a hell of a Ryder Cup. It's a home game. Play well. Because all your quotes are cute and nice and everybody's got your back until you don't play well at the Ryder Cup. And then the English media will come after you.
Yeah, they need to hold serve at home.
And even if they don't and he plays well, he's fine.
Correct.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1921, where 2 significant things happened in the world of baseball. First one is the Black Sox trial begins in Chicago. The second one is Ruth becomes the all-time home run leader in Major League Baseball at 139 home runs.
He figured he'd hit 575 more just for the hell of it.
Today in 1927, Ty Cobb gets his 4,000th career hit.
Wow. That seems like a lot.
It does. It does. Today in 51, Joe Walcott KOs Edward Charles in 7 rounds, becoming at the time the world's oldest heavyweight champion at the age of 37. 1959, Bill Wright becomes the first African-American to win a golf major. He won the U.S. Amateur Public Championship. Bob Allison and Harmon Killebrew hit grand slams in the first inning for the Twins in 1962 on an 11-run first inning. I just thought it was a fun little baseball stat. Today in 1969, Joe Namath agrees to sell his interest in Bachelors 3 to stay in the league.
He had retired briefly.
1970, Willie Mays becomes the 10th to get to 3,000 hits. 1980, number 1 album in the land was Billy Joel's Glass Houses. It's still rock and roll to me, David. That was the toe tapper, 1980. Tom Watson wins his 4th Open at Troon today in 1982. This one's for David because I'm guessing he's got more to the story here. They were tied for first, but the Phillies decide to fire Pat Corrales. They replace him with Paul Owens, who was the GM, and get to the World Series. They would lose to Baltimore. But it is something to be in a first-place tie and fire your manager.
But I think they were only like 3 games above 500 or something like that. It was 83.
Yeah, they were a game above 500.
They weren't the Whiz Kids. They were called the Wheeze Kids because it was an older team. Like 40-year-old Pete Rose was at first. Joe Morgan was their second baseman. I mean, they actually made fun of them in Philly. They called them the Wheeze Kids. Gary Matthews, I think, he would go to the Cubs the next year, but I think he played left field for the Phillies that year. I mean, they were an old team.
88 at Royal Lithium in St. Anne's, Sevy wins his 3rd Open.
And final major.
Today in 1991, Felipe, the Florida Marlins logo is unveiled.
I love those teal pinstripes.
93, Greg Norman with the final round 64 to win his 2nd Open title, 2 ahead of Nick Faldo.
And he missed like a 2-footer on 17, too.
Today in 1999, Paul Lowry wins at Carnoustie. That was the Vandevelde.
Sure was. Double bogey wins on 18. Give me the driver.
You know, your memory of sports is like nothing I've ever seen. That is the one tournament that immediately when I read that, I can just watch him. I can close my eyes and watch him on 18 and wonder what on God's green earth that man was thinking.
So he hits driver off the tee, and it remarkably finds land. He had a horrible shot. It was headed towards, there was like 3 different ways it could have found water, and it literally landed on this little patch of land in between 2 canals. So he's dry off the tee. And obviously from there, it's like, 9 iron, 2 or 3 putt, and you win. His reasoning was not awful, though. He hit like 2 iron because he had like 220, 230 into the green, but he had like 200 to get over the, what'd they call it? It wasn't a canal. It wasn't a creek. It was
I don't remember. Anyhow.
And
the burn.
Burn, correct. And so he said, if I get over the burn, I've won. He goes, there's no way I'll make 7 or worse if I get over the burn on my 2nd shot, which is not the dumbest thought in the world. He clears the burn by 15 yards, but he hit it to the right. It lands in the stands. He gets one of the worst breaks of all time. The ball hits like a metal railing and goes backwards 15 yards into the burn. No, into the high stuff. Then he hits it into the burn. I just remember Curtis Strange in the booth with Tirico saying midway through all of it, Mike, I can't take it anymore. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
2008, Billy Joel performs the last of two concerts dubbed The Last Play at Shea. Final concert before demolition of the baseball stadium. The guests include Roger Daltrey, Tony Bennett, Garth Brooks, Paul McCartney.
That's pretty epic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's pretty
It
epic.
really and truly is.
By the way, when you have the clout in New York to call McCartney for a cameo.
Bingo. Today in 2013, Detroit, Michigan files for bankruptcy, becoming the largest U.S. municipality ever at $18.5 billion. Today in 2019, the city of West Palm Beach used the children's songs Baby Shark and Raining Tacos to drive away homeless people from the waterfront. I got to come right out and say it. Raining Tacos is fine. I don't know how you can compare Raining Tacos with Baby Shark. My daughter's played them both a million times. Baby Shark, annoying. Raining Tacos, mildly amusing. And in 2021, Colin Morikawa won the British Open, beating Jordan Spieth by 2 strokes. Nelson Mandela, John Glenn, Hunter S. Thompson, Cal Peete, and Bruce Litsky all born today. Dick Button's 94, David.
Wow.
Joe Torre's 83, Martha Reeves is 82, Richard Branson 73, Nick Faldo 66, Vin Diesel's 56, Penny Hardaway's 52, Torrey Hunter's 48, and Canelo Alvarez is 33 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, history made today, and they wouldn't let anybody else do it again. Okay, FDR nominated for a 3rd consecutive term, although Mr. Trump has a chance to do that as well. Okay, but obviously FDR stayed in office the whole time. They would change the rules after FDR so that, you can't do more than 2 in a row. 1940 today, FDR 3 in a row. It was then 7 years later. I did not know this, Mark, and you know I'm a bit of a history guy. Truman changes the Presidential Succession Act. Apparently, it was the president pro temp of the Senate who was next in line after the president and the vice president. Truman didn't think it, thought it should have been somebody who was elected. And Truman was the one who changed it to the Speaker of the House. Not that we've ever had to go down that route, thankfully, but what else we got today? One other thing. I'll find it here. Oh, yeah, in 1969, Kennedy drove his car into Chappaquiddick today, killing Mary Jo Kopechne, who's born and buried in Nakos, Pennsylvania, a small community just south of Wilkes-Barre. And she's in a small cemetery in Nakos, and her tombstone simply says Mary Jo.
Well, not only did you miss Bam Adebayo's birthday, but it is also my birthday.
Happy birthday, Felipe.
23?
My Jordan year.
You should have gone with LeBron. That's your era, man.
It is my 23.
That's your guy.
Surprised you're not wearing a LeBron jersey today.
Well, I got work after this. So.
Oh, of course.
Work,
this really isn't considered work.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Take most of the last sentence and use it as the good, bad, and ugly right there.
So now we know where we rank.
Ain't that the truth?
I got work after this. Oh, okay.
Can't show up with a LeBron jersey over there.
Sure you could, actually, unless they've changed the dress code. Please, editors at a TV station, they dress like baseball beat writers in spring training.
It's true.
For the good today, we go back a few days. A week ago today, at Health Park in Fort Myers, a record was set. The most baby deliveries in a single day at the Lee Health Facility in South Fort Myers. 30 newborns welcomed into the world. As they said, they have filled a kindergarten class for the class of 2028. 17 boys, 13 girls, no twins. Typical day, 16 to 17. For the bad, we go to Atlanta, where a man attempted to rob an Atlanta nail salon last week. He came in with his hand in a bag as if he was holding a weapon and stormed into the Nail First salon demanding money. Yelled, "Everybody get down, give me all your money." According to surveillance video, it showed he was ignored by both customers and employees. I mean, they ignored him. He came in, said, with his hand in a bag, said, "Get down on the floor and give me your money," and no one moved.
Nice.
No one paid any attention.
And that can really psychologically mess with you.
The salon owner even decided it was okay to answer the phone during the attempted robbery. While a customer casually went outside, the suspect snatched her phone as he watched outside. The suspect didn't get any money, but is still on the loose, other than the phone. For the ugly, we go to St. Pete Beach, where Sarah Kokora was in an argument with a man at a restaurant, Rick's Reef, and the female started yelling at customers. And then she threw her burrito at the man she was arguing with. She missed the man. Instead, the burrito hit another man in the face. She left the restaurant before police arrived, but she remained nearby and ended up being arrested for disorderly conduct. I would never, I'll tell you what, a burrito makes a great weapon. But I enjoy a burrito far too much to be throwing a burrito.
Isn't that a scene in Anchorman where Ron Burgundy is driving on the bridge and he throws the burrito out the window and hits Jack Black and he breaks his bike and then he picks up the dog and throws the dog?
You're right. May have to listen to some Flying Burrito Brothers later today, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 18th, 2023.
Marlins continue in St. Louis. Rays are in Texas against the Rangers. No afternoon games today. Giants and Reds resume their suspended game in the 8th at around 5:30. Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett tomorrow. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts.
It's not work.
If your party's
It's not work.
you're gonna have to go around again.